What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Apex the Podcast. The boys are here. We are ready to go. We are a week out from champs. Cannot wait for that preview episode. It's going to be awesome. We got some good guests lined up, and we have all of our takes, picks, and we have a little surprise coming for that episode. We're going to be getting up early for that one. It's going to be fun. Cannot wait to do that. That should be a good time. This will be like, I think this will be the pinnacle of our like match day episodes to this point. This will be like the ultimate one. So you're definitely going to want to be looking out for that one. We have some news to get to this week. Not a whole lot, but there is some things on the docket. Before we get into all of that, ladies and gents, let's check in with the boys. Finn, how are you doing?
I'm good. My weekend or my week consisted of me getting these tattoos. I don't know if you guys noticed. I don't know. Can you even see? Well,
I see tats.
I got 13 of them.
13 in one like sitting?
In one session. Yeah, it was like 3.5 hours. It was gnarly.
Were those all of your first? Did you just wipe? Did you just get them all done?
No, because
you got it. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, but it is a few. If I'm gonna be honest, dude, the worst one, I got a band like that goes all the way around my arm. I wanted to cry like a little girl, dude. It hurt so bad, bro. It felt like It felt like there was I already felt like I had like raw, like it was just raw skin, and then somebody was like shaving it on top of it. That's how it felt like, and I was like, this hurts real bad.
I've always thought the band was cool, so I wanted to get one, but that makes me not want to get one anymore.
I also think it's because it's so close to right here. Like there's so much nerves. Like
it's got to be sensitive.
It's very, very sensitive. But I'm pretty sure if you get it like up here, it's not nearly as like the upper bicep. It's not nearly as bad. But
I was gonna go
it on
lower,
your upper
actually.
Forearm. What?
I was gonna go lower actually, like
you're like here.
Yeah, like around the
dude, like mid forearm.
Oh, shit, look at this. Oh,
that's some because you've been working out, huh?
Yes, sir.
But yeah, that was my week. I'm trying to think. We played a little bit of me and Wyatt. For those that don't know, we played a little bit of Rocket League sometimes during like before the episode starts, and like we were waiting on a particular guest, won't say who, but we were this was recent. And we were playing, and me and Wyatt only lost like 2 or 3 games as a duo, and it was mad fun.
It was mad fun. We actually, I had the count. I think we went 4-2 or 5-2. We were playing out of our minds. We were playing insane. I'm going to talk about Rocket League when we get to my day first, or like when we get to my day. But I have some things to say about our video editor, Connor. But finish your day first. I want to hear the rest or your week.
I mean, nothing else really. I've been working out, doing my thing. Okay. This is one thing that I was going to ask y'all. How do you feel about getting groceries?
I try to avoid it entirely if I can.
I used to do it. I don't anymore because the missus has got that on lock. And so, but like, I never viewed getting the groceries as a super annoying thing. To be fair, at the time, my groceries mostly consisted of peanut butter and bread, and then I just whip it up on the desk while I was on the grind. And so the groceries are definitely more extensive nowadays, but I don't really do them ever at this point. If she ever needed my help or anything, I would definitely have that.
I don't know what it is, but I feel like going to the grocery store is one of the worst things in the world.
So
I don't know what.
Why?
It's so bad.
What
it's
is
like
wrong
so
with
tedious.
You?
I don't know.
I have bad experiences from when I was.
What's
a kid.
so bad about it?
I don't know. I think I just have bad experiences because when I'm actually there, I don't mind it too much. It's just getting me there. I don't want to be there. You know?
Okay. I think I'm there with you, Wyatt. I don't mind.
Y'all just have a negative association for no reason.
Yeah, there is.
For no reason.
I have like a mental block to like.
You guys are just choosing to view the grocery store negatively, to like self-inflict.
I
Like, why
have
would you
I
not
get
just have like a
groceries at,
better
like-
perception?
I have bad experiences on both sides because my parents. If I went with my mom, she'd be like, "All right, this can be real quick. We'd be there for 4 hours on a
Mhm.
Saturday." And then with my
Oh,
dad,
for sure.
when he was a single dad, he would bring me and my sister to the grocery store, and he would just be macking, and we would be there once again for another 4 hours. I was always at the grocery store for 4 hours as a kid, and I just couldn't escape it. It was just a nightmare.
No, I feel you. Going to the grocery store as a kid, horrible.
Horrible.
But like when I'm pulling up as an adult and I just know what I gotta get, I get to go at my own pace. I get to do the thing, and I feel like it's just like, don't get me wrong. I used to like going with when I was younger. Would never have wanted to do it. Right now, it's just not. I just can't. I can't see. If anything, if I would say that because it was worse when I was younger, it makes me more. It makes me enjoy it more now because I'm like, wow, like I get to do like it's not nearly as bad. So you get to focus on that, and it's just like, wow, this is so much better than it used to be because you just get to do your own thing at your own pace.
I will say the automated cashiers have really helped my disdain for the grocery store because I always forget that they're there. And then I walk in, I'm like, oh, I can do this so fast. Like I can just get in and out so fast. But I always forget that they're there. And then when I see them, I'm like, I'll be done in like 15 seconds. So yeah, I do feel that. I just have to get inside. Like there's been times where I legit
Yeah,
stay
that's
in the
where I'm at.
parking lot because my dad will be like, all right, we're going in. As at this age now, he'll be like, just come with me to the grocery store real quick. I'm like, Dad, I'm going to be like, he always finds a way to make the trip 30 to 45 minutes longer than it should be. And there have been times where I'm like, I'm not going inside because I know what you're going to do. And so I'll sit in the truck and I'll just wait. Yeah, like that's how I feel about the grocery store. I have too many bad memories. There was one specific Saturday where my mom, like this is when I could drive and it was a Saturday and I think it was like 17, 18 and my friends are hitting me up like, let's go do this. And my mom was like, real quick, we'll just go to Costco real quick. Legitimately 4 hours. She spent like $500 there. And I was like, how are we here for this long? And I couldn't just like walk out and leave because I didn't bring my own vehicle. And I was also with my mom, so I couldn't just do that. And that one scarred me for life. I remember like at the end being like, are you serious? And then the Costco line is insane as well. The Costco lines are always crazy. So yeah, grocery
Do
store.
they have free samples at Costco?
They do. They do. But you get through your fifth or sixth one and you're just like,
No, I was just asking. I didn't know. I
yeah,
didn't
they
know.
do. They do. I would just sit in the TV aisle and just kind of stare at the pixels. They're all vivid and bright. And then you buy that same
Well-
TV and it doesn't look like that.
I will say one thing, and then you guys can move on to your week. But I will say, grocery store, when I was old enough to like understand and like game by myself. Remember whenever they had at like Walmart, they had a TV set up and you could go and game and play whatever while, like a preview thing. And so I remember my mom would eventually, as I got older, was like, hey, you can go back to the gaming section, electronic section, and play while I go and shop. But even then, dude, I remember my neck being pretty much broken because you had to stare up at I don't know what
Those
degree
were good
angle,
times. Those were
Dude.
those were good times. 100%.
Are we all on the same page that we all did that too? Okay.
Oh,
all right.
dude, I would get there. Yeah, I would try to spend the majority of my time there, and then I'd have to like share it with my brothers. Mostly
Yeah.
just Griffin. My oldest brother wasn't nearly about it as we were.
Yeah, there was actually, so we had a Best Buy that actually in the middle of the store had 3 couches, a big TV, and an Xbox with a bunch of controllers. And they like legit, it was an actual like living room setup inside the Best Buy. And people like kids would just take turns playing it. And it actually felt like you were just at home playing it at the Best Buy on Clovis and Herndon. Like it was the craziest Best Buy experience, and then they got rid of it, which made me really, really sad. And now the middle section is just full of iPhones. But yeah, like that. Those were the days. Those were legitimately the days. And then your parent would come come to like grab you after they grabbed all the stuff, and they'd be like, "Wow, that looks like it's real." Like if it was like a car game or something, you'd be like, "Yeah, it's really good. I wish I had one," or something, and just kind of see what they do. And they're like, "All right, let's leave." You're like, "Damn, didn't work this time." Yet again, my plan was foiled.
Maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
I do remember doing that
Yeah.
though. You're definitely like, you're like, man, this game's so fun. I wish I could play it at home.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
How was your week, Wyatt?
Okay, my week, like I said, my week was totally fine, all good. Baby appointment went really solid. They put like this little thing. They put the little stuff on the stomach, and then they put like a little like wand on it, and you just hear the heartbeat. It's like doo-doo, 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 which is crazy every single time you hear it. But yeah, so that was really cool. Getting to Connor, our video editor, the one who puts out the YouTube video. So me and Finn play Rocket League, and he kind of sees us like playing from some of the recording and stuff, and like just knows that we had played. And he goes, "Hey, dude, I'd love to play with you guys sometime." I go, "Sure." So he hits me up. I think it was Saturday night, and he goes, "You want to play some Rocket League?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude, sure." And so we start playing, or like we load into the game, and there was like a trios tournament, and I was gonna click on it, and there was a rank disparity. So I'm thinking, he probably hasn't played his placement games yet. My rank might be a little too high for him or whatever. That's what I'm thinking in my head. And then we go into this duos game, and I click on it, and I'm like, we start the first 10 seconds, the other team scores, and I'm like, the ball didn't touch the ground. Like the ball never never touched the ground. It was just flying through the air. And then I pull up the scoreboard. I was like, dude, we're playing former grandmasters or something. I think they're called grandmasters. And I'm like, these guys have been grandmasters. Like this one's a season 7 grandmaster. This one's a season 5 grandmaster. What the hell? I was like, how are we playing grandmasters? And then I look down at my scoreboard. I'm diamond 1. Fucking Connor was a season 5 grandmaster. And I go, bro, you're a grandmaster? And he goes, yeah, dude. He's like, I mean, I just played my 10 games and, I got here. I was like, no, you are a grandmaster. And then so I was like, dude, I'm going to suck. Like you're going to have to absolutely carry me. We played 7 games. We only won 1 game. Now I will say we got better as time went along. I did the best that I could. We basically had to make it to where I was kind of playing like full-time defense. And when he was in the offensive zone, I would kind of come in from like the half court line and try to shoot it as best I could. He would set me up with these crazy passes. I'm just flailing around, missing everything. And I did score goals, though. I did get some goals. But, dude, those players at that level are different. The ball doesn't touch the ground. I am doing it. They're purposely. So they're taking the ball up the wall, letting it fall a little bit. Then they jump off and they slowly start boosting. And they're carrying it through the air. There was one guy, Connor shot. He blocks the ball in midair right in front of the net. And then I go to shoot the rebound. Now in Diamond 1, this is an easy goal because I'm shooting it to the left. Connor had shot it straight down the middle, and the guy blocked it. I go to shoot it left. The guy in midair boosts himself sideways and jumps to block it left. And I'm telling you, he had a fraction of a second to make that decision, and he did. And I was like, I am not supposed to be here. But Connor didn't care. He like legitimately didn't care that we were just losing every single game. And like the first 2 games we lost by like 5. The next 2 we lost by like 2. The last 2 we lost by like 1. And then I think we won our 1 game in like, I think we won it in overtime. But Connor is insane. Like he's an absolutely insane Rocket League player. I'm not worthy to be playing with him, but he just doesn't care. And so it was sick. It was awesome. I got to learn a lot about what is at the higher ranks. And I think I'm gonna keep playing with Connor, try to get better, have him teach me some stuff. He was already telling me about some YouTube tutorials I could watch. But yeah, he's a secret closet grandmaster at Rocket League that has just not said anything about it at all.
Trio soon?
Dude, we might have to hit trio. Finn, I'm telling you, we are gonna look like jackasses out there. We're gonna look like buffoons out there. But I'm down to do it. We just gotta get better at everything.
I've played Rocket League probably less than 5 times. and
Dude.
I've watched people play it at like the highest level, and I'm just like they're just different. Like the
Yeah.
skill ceiling of Rocket League, I will say, is phenomenal.
It's insane. Like they're carrying the ball everywhere they want. They're doing little juggle moves. I felt there were some goals that got scored against me that I felt so stupid, and they know exactly what you're going to do before you do it type situation. But yeah, Connor's insane. Connor's absolutely insane. So that was my week. I had a good time playing with Connor. We also played some Apex, and I did all right. I did all right. I didn't do the best. We as a group, as a duo, we didn't play our best, but we got some good matches in, got some good kills. Enoch, how was your week?
It's been good, man. I've just been on the grind, and it's been going well. I've been doing the like starting off on Twitch, getting like a 6 hours on there, then swapping over to Kick, and that's been going really, really well. Um, Definitely optimistic for whenever they're going to be releasing the next rounds of people that they're going to be contracts to. I've been putting in a fairly substantial amount of time, which has been nice. Um, and really starting to develop like a community over there, and so that's been really fun. And the carryover has gotten better over time. Um, and so it's been a good grind, and so plenty of that more to go, and it just has me more optimistic about everything that I got going on because like Twitch streams like happen, get those done. Those have been going pretty good, and then swapping on and just having like the opportunity to really take advantage of something new is really fun. And then also something that I think I forgot to talk about is I also stream on TikTok as well. So pretty much 6 days a week I'm streaming on Twitch and then Kick, and amongst both of those I'll be live on TikTok. And the TikTok streams have been doing really well as well. And so I streamed the 20-hour on Sunday. I did a 20-hour grind with his Watson and Messi, or NV_Messiah for anybody who wants to go look him up. That was fun. I was reinforced on like the proper way to gain LP at a consistent rate because I still was fighting too much, and I 100% realized that when playing with them. And so I gained pretty well today just because of the good habits that I picked back up again from playing with them for 20 hours. But that was really just fun time because you just get to like spend 20 hours of playing Apex with the homies, and it's just good time with friends, and it's like a fun time with stream as well. And so for that I did like 7 hours on Twitch and then the rest on Kick, and then I streamed the majority of it, like 20 plus hours on TikTok. And the TikTok I gained over like 1,000 followers, hit over 100K different things, and then the TikTok stream today was popping like crazy. And just for like I would say over like the past like month or two, it was definitely, like you go through your hills and valleys, and it felt like I was going through some valleys at times, and now I like knew the whole time that I needed to like keep my mindset right about it, and that as long as I was staying like optimistic, focusing on all the stuff I can control, that then everything else is going to fall into place. And as long as I do a good job of keeping my mental and emotional state at that place, then I'll like approach things from the energy that I need to have the results that I want to see. And it's been fun. And so I'm just staying on the grind. Just lots of work to be done, and yeah, I'm just vibing. It's fun.
There we go. And that should just about wrap up our weeks. Sounds like we had a good week. We've got another good week coming pretty soon with champs. But before we get into all that,
next Wednesday.
Yeah. Next Wednesday, I believe. It should be a great time. I cannot wait. It's going to be awesome. Now, just a show note for that episode, you're most likely going to have already watched part of it when we first drop the episode, which is normal. That usually happens. But our predictions will be in there, and that doesn't mean our predictions won't come true. Actually, you'd have plenty of time to clown us. You'd already know the results. When you hear us say it, you'd be like, wow, that guy is wrong. and that would be just funny for you. Or you could say that guy is right and be like, wow, they're so smart. They know exactly what they're talking about. So that'll be the case for next week. Okay, let's get into some news and some storylines from this week. I think we should probably start with the one thing that was kind of dominating the Bluebird or X, whatever you want to call it. We got Zero. Zero's in a little bit of a dust up. I saw the video originally. I went back to go refresh my mind on it. It has been since deleted. Could you give us a quick little a breakdown of what happened between Zero and is it Dig?
It's
Vibes?
Dig Vibes, who is mostly known as Digi Vibes.
There we
Dude,
go.
I thought it was Digi Vibes for so long. I'm not gonna lie
Yeah,
to you.
you
I thought
and
it was Digi
everybody
Vibes.
else. And so what happened was apparently Zero was in a Discord watching people do a live pick for the MFAM Gauntlet round, and so Zero was in a live stream, and apparently Dig got picked up, and then Zero did not think that apparently it was a good choice for that team, and then was just like clowning on him in a sense, for sure. And then Dig came into the call and was like, yo, like, what's going on? Like, why are you like talking bad about my name? And then Zero was basically just like, you're dog shit. Like, I think he said like something along the lines of like nothing against you, but like you're dog shit. Or something along those lines, which is definitely very unchill and not something that Zero really needs to be saying to a guy who's like 17 years old, getting into comp, grinding as a young player, trying to improve and get better in the scene, which is something that Dig's consistently done over the last year or so. Yeah, I mean, that's just, I guess, who Zero is. I feel like it's pretty well known amongst the players that Zero is what you would refer to as an asshole or like a jackass. And I guess that was partly why he hadn't streamed as much in the past. And so now he is streaming and we are getting to like know him better. And for some people, like they think that is funny and hilarious. And he's an incredibly fast growing streamer. I think he's averaging over 1,000 viewers now, where literally like a month or two ago, he would have been like around like 200, 300. And so he's being himself, not giving a shit. And he was making jokes about it because he was like, oh, canceled. Like, because like a lot of people were like saying like, oh, this is completely uncalled for. Like, and to a certain degree, like, yeah, he definitely should have said it. But then at the end of the day, I mean, like, that's my perception of it. And so Zero, he doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care. And I guarantee you, he doesn't give a shit about all of the people saying that he's like some terrible person because he said this. Because I mean, in Zero's eyes, it's just he said a guy was bad at a game, and it is what it is. And that's basically the situation. I guess Dig has deleted it because it was bringing in a ton of negative attention, I guess, in his eyes. Personally, if I'm him, I feel like you just got to leave it up if that's something that is generating you a lot of attention. But I guess it wasn't the attention that he was wanting after he realized like what it was turning into.
Can I play devil's advocate here?
Sure.
I think I would also be a little sad too. Like, I think I would have also been hurt.
Oh, I completely understand like Dig feeling bad about it and Dig feeling hurt by it. But then at the end of the day, like, it's an opportunity for you to not care. Like, Dig has complete control to not give a shit what Zero thinks. And yeah,
sure,
is it tough to be called dog shit in front of a bunch of people by arguably one of the best players in the game? Yeah, that sucks. But at the same time, it is what it is. It happened. Dig could just choose to make the most out of that. I mean, there's so many more people who are aware of Dig Vibes as a person and as a player now than before the situation. And if Dig takes advantage of the fact that his name is in a lot of people's mouths right now, and just continues to do his thing and get better, this is going to be something that, like, if Dig continues to improve as a player and say like a year or two from now win something, then he'll be able to be like that. It just adds more to a story, and it will garner more attention. And so, yes, does it suck to have?
I'm just saying,
like to be called dog shit?
Him,
yeah, but like, you just got to not care.
Yeah,
like there's no reason for him realistically. Like he can choose to not care about Zero's opinion.
Yeah, but he's 17 years old though, and he's trying to become a pro player, and then a two-time LAN-winning champ says that you're terrible at the game. Like that's gonna be hard to be like, yeah, I'm just gonna block that out. Whenever it's like it's you know what I'm saying? Like I understand where you're coming from, Ia, being like, yeah, just don't care, like don't like. You know, it's an opportunity to not care. But I understand he's like 17 years old and is trying to become a professional player.
Then use that
like,
for Field of the Fire. Have that be the thing. Like, I'm gonna work even more hard so that way
I get that.
I'll prove to everybody that I'm that guy.
Yeah, but not everybody is wired the same way. Like in that.
Oh, I understand.
Regard.
I would be fairly confident that if I was in his position, I wouldn't think about it the same way I do now. There's no chance.
Right. That's what. Right. Okay.
There is an update if you guys want to hear it on this.
I would love an update.
So, Dig Vibes tweeted out. Figured I'd tweet this out so everyone knows. Me and Zero have been talking yesterday/Sunday, and he apologized to me, so everything should be good. No bad blood between each other or hate for each other. So they did kind of talk it through. They kind of figured it out on behind the scenes. I don't really have an opinion on. I mean, I do, but I feel like you guys kind of covered both sides of it. I will say that
you gotta let people know where you feel.
I do kind of feel like I'm in a little bit of Finn's shoes where it's like that would really suck, especially being 17. But I also feel myself in your end being like, imagine how good it would have been for him to tweet out like a stream link saying dog shit player going live or something like that, just to kind of make fun of the situation. You get people to be like, oh, okay, like he's taking it well. The one thing I don't like though with the internet is, especially in like Zero's chat, the internet has this weird thing to just pile on despite not knowing anything about a person sometimes, just based on the person that they're watching and just having this natural inclination to agree with anything that they say or do and just take it as like full face value, whatever. That's the part that I don't like, because if he's an up and coming player and he's trying to make a name for himself, if you on that video, if you looked at his chat, all you saw was LMAO, LMFAO, LOL, 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 like, and these guys don't even know who he is. I would feel a little bit differently if it was like a more established player, somebody who's been playing for a little bit longer and people are able to develop their opinions. Let's say it's like Madness or something. Like people have already developed their opinion on Madness, whether they like him or not. With this player, he's younger, trying to make a name. And before he even got to make a name, he was already had people in that chat. Granted, it's only like 500 people, but it went to Twitter, which probably added to that. That's the only part I didn't like about it. And it's not what Zero had to say. It was what people who have no opinion and no idea how they actually feel about somebody just agreeing with someone despite not ever going and doing their own research, which is an internet problem all on its own. And a lot of times it's the youth that kind of fall into that trap. But I think for a 17-year-old, I think he handled it extremely well. He went behind the scenes. He actually went in there and like asked him what was going on, which I feel like if you're that in that situation, a lot of people might have been scared off by the fact that like, hey, this guy's a 2-time world champion. Or no, is it 3-time now? He won 2 LANs.
I think I messed it up. I think it's 3-time LAN champ.
3-time LAN champion.
That's on me.
He's a huge name. He's on one of the biggest teams in the world. Clearly in the conversation for one of the best IGLs, and he just marched in that Discord and was like, hey, like what the hell is going on? I respect him for that. And then I also respect him for going behind the scenes and being like, what's the deal? Like, what's the problem? And he got an apology and stuff like that. So big shout out to him. This would be a chance for anybody listening right now to actually give him like a good look and see what he's all about. And maybe if this is somebody that you think could potentially land on a good team and get better, I think that's the best we could do as a podcast, is just be like, hey, the situation is what it is. Maybe just give him a shot. Maybe he has potential, That was the only part I didn't like. But I do agree with Enoch. In these situations, a lot of times you see people react negatively to it, and it almost always backfires on them. Whereas a lot of times when people go through like a tough time and then they make fun of it a little bit, the internet tends to side with them a little bit more, if that makes sense. And I think if he would have done something kind of quirky or funny about it, that it would have been, better. And even Zero did something kind of quirky or funny with it. And he was on the other end where I think he tweeted out the stream link and he put hashtag canceled, hashtag terrible person, live for MFAM Gauntlet or whatever. So even he was kind of playing into it. If you can play into it a little bit, I do think it gives you internet points, whatever that means to you at the time, which if you're trying to grow your stream, if you're trying to grow your name, sometimes you kind of have to pander for the internet points. So, yeah, it was a weird situation, but yeah.
Rogue gets into it, remember?
Yeah.
Him talking in our interview.
Yep.
It's funny because this kind of happened to Rogue, and he gets into it in the interview, so definitely stick around for that. But that's when you first said the mob mentality, I was thinking, oh wow, that happened literally to Rogue. So that's you guys stick around for that.
That's the part that I don't like, because it's so easy to just agree with somebody, and especially somebody who has a bunch of hearts and the number's bigger next to the name than the other person. I feel like a lot of the internet does that. They'll look at the tweet that has the more likes and the more retweets or whatever and be like, okay, that's my opinion because it looks like that might be the right one. I hate that. You got to look at both sides of it and actually figure out, is this the case? Because this kid could be up and coming and we just have no idea, and you would write him off before you even had a chance. The people typing in chat being like, LOL, this guy's trash, blah 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 blah. Maybe he is, maybe he's not. He's 17. There's plenty of time left for people to grow and all that type of stuff. But yeah, I mean, Zero, there's not much you can say to Zero. He's won 3 lands. He seems to know what he's talking about, but he could be wrong in this case, is all I'm saying. I think that was a good spectrum of opinions.
I think we covered that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we covered that pretty well.
But yeah, that's basically it. It's just a weird situation. You can kind of pick and choose where you feel about it. It would be hilarious though if I don't want to mess up his name. Dig Vibes, right? Dig Vibes?
Yeah.
I want to say Digi
just say
Vibes.
Digi,
You
so
can just
bad.
call him
Just say
Digi
Digi.
Vibes.
Yeah.
I mean,
say
everybody
Digi,
just
bro.
calls him Digi
Yeah.
Vibes.
I called him Digi for so long.
It would
Just
be
call him
crazy
Digi.
if Digi Vibes was able to get on a good team and then absolutely wipe Zero in a tournament or something. This moment would
That would be
definitely be
great.
coming back. That would be a situation where he would have to play into it. If he plays into it there you go. That'd be funny. Moving on into some other stuff here. We had the MFAM. I believe it was the qualifiers?
It was MFAM finals of the preliminary season. So it's the first season, and then they just had the finals for it. See if I can. Yeah, I got the results for the top 3 teams, or the top 3 team names and all that. But so essentially, what it was, top 60 people in the gauntlet made it to the playoffs. The top 20 people though were team captains and could pretty much draft the 60 people. Or the remaining 40 people, excuse me. And so Team Verhulst was Phony, Verhulst, and Inamago. And that's a pretty gnarly team. They ended up taking first. Shout out Phony, because that's Wyatt's boy. And also feature guest, both Evan and Phony. So that's pretty tight. Number 2 was Effect, O'Rain, and Taylor. I'm pretty sure O'Rain is how you say it. It's OJREIN, but I'm pretty sure we've been calling it O'Rain. They got second place. And then number 3 was Mamba's team, which was Bo, Mamba, and Psycop, which I don't know much about Psycop, but must have done pretty well. So congratulations to them. I didn't get to watch too much of it. That was during my work week, or during the work time. So I didn't get to catch too much of it, but I know that it got to cut, it kind of got cut short because of servers. The custom lobbies were not doing super well. So they ended up cutting it out. But it's a really cool format though. They ended up making it match point, which is really crazy to do in a kind of like a draft tournament. So I think that's the bait. Yeah, so it was called the beta season. So I'm guessing that they'll continue to do more, which is really cool. For five, I mean, 50K is quite a bit of money. So interested to see what will happen for the next season if there's any switch ups and stuff. But congratulations to those that won.
Yeah, and this is some of the stuff we were talking about last week with Minus Tempo, where it's going to take, if we want this game to become the esport that it can become, things like this are going to have to come along a little bit more often. And it's cool that the MFAM Gauntlet is here, but we're probably going to need a little bit more, and probably going to need some more on the side of EA and Respawn to kind of give more resources and help out with resources so that we can do more of this stuff. The ALGS is great. We love it. And it's very interesting. And I mean, we've basically built a podcast around it. But there's probably going to have to be some more in the future if we want it to grow to like a League of Legends esport level, Dota 2, CSGO, whatever. These are the things that need to happen. And right now it's early stages, but hopefully we find more things like this. And even Zephyr talked about it in the EU scene, creating, some sort of tournament and getting things organized and stuff. People like that are going to help the scene grow. And so hopefully we get more of this in the future. But very cool so far from Nick Merckx in the MFAM Gauntlet.
Sorry to cut you off. I didn't mean to cut you off. One thing about that Tempo also mentioned is he thinks Apex, since it is just so established at this point, he said like 12 years, like the game's life is going to be quite a bit, like pretty long. And so I think there's some significance to that. Whenever it comes to, let's create the healthy habits of a competitive scene now so that you can kind of make it flourish into that tier 1 that we're talking about. And I think you nailed it right on the head, Wyatt. So I think we're all in agreement here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that should just about round it out. Not too much more as far as news and stuff. Cannot wait for Champs coming next week. We're going to throw it on down to our interview here with Rogue. Rogue, for me, the original night shift, the night shift streamer that I would always fall asleep to, because he just always was on every single night. There was not a night that he wasn't going. And so it was really awesome to talk to him. We talked to him about everything from his background on his stream being amazing to his little bout in competitive Apex and where he stands with that, and just his stream in general and how he got there. And it was a very solid interview with our man Rogue. Even talked a little bit of hockey at the end of that. So, ladies and gents, without further ado, let's hit a quick ad, and on the other side, Rogue. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, with a very special guest. Today we have on Rogue from Team Liquid, content creator and streamer. And I was talking to Finn about this earlier, but back in the early days of Apex, I like to refer to it as the night shift. It was the streamers who were on so late at night that it was awesome to like just set it right before you go to bed, watch the stream. You were probably the premier night shift streamer back in those days. Like you were always on no matter what. I don't know if you're carrying the same schedule right now, but I mean, you have been a staple in this community since the beginning. How are you doing, my man?
Oh, I'm good, dude. Thanks for the intro.
Yeah, no worries.
I mean, dude, yeah, back in like 2021, I guess. I mean, 2020 even. I was doing that schedule like literally. Well, actually, it was mostly 2020. I started that schedule at night because it was literally. I was living at my mom's and just in like my little small room. I had like a. I don't know if I have a picture of it here, but I had like just a small room, literally no big. Like it wasn't even bigger than like two of these desks I have like side by side. And I had like my blow up mattress. I had a window that had like vines coming down from it behind me, plants from the roof, and then just my setup. And I literally looked like I had the Shiv beard. Whenever I woke up, I would start stream, and then whenever I went to bed, when I woke up, start stream again. And usually like I would just stream and sleep. Like I didn't go outside, didn't do anything because I had nothing going on. And so that literally the schedule started because of that. Just like the horrible, literally no sleep. And if I did, then I woke up and played immediately. That was literally the creation of it.
Yeah, and it was like a gradual climb too. I remember like the first few times I'd click on it, I'd always see you down there, and it would be like it was smaller. And then all of a sudden, like, I remember there was a time I didn't really like click on any night shift streamers for a few months. I click on it, you're at like 3,000 all of a sudden. I mean, the grind was insane, and it definitely ended up paying off.
I started it because I was on a team with Helping and Moose, and this was like the old Misfits roster. And so I had left Liquid because originally, well, I was originally on Liquid, and my team, we had two Liquid teams. One of my teams got cut. I was asked to join the team that was going to stay, like just the main team, and I declined because I was kind of like pretty loyal to like my teammates, and I didn't want to, like, I was kind of like pissed about the situation in a way, so I declined actually, and I became a free agent, whatever, left Liquid, and so I joined Misfits, Helping and Moose, but Moose ended up quitting. Prod had come back from Fortnite, and so he didn't know World's Edge. Like, that was a new map. And so the reason I grinded Apex and ranked so hard literally at that start was because Prod needed to learn the map, and we just played it, me helping Prod day in, day out, like literally the whole time. And we just, because that, like, there was no customs, so you couldn't like just load up whenever you wanted. Like, you had to play ranked. Like, and so we just like, we burned the map into his brain just off ranked. And that's kind of our idea with it. And pretty early on, I think, I got like I'm trying to think of who was first, so I'm not wrong, but I'm pretty sure it went Nightswig hosted me, and then the next day I got a Snipe Down host, and they're both pretty equivalent. Like, one wasn't bigger than the other really, but the two hosts in like straight up, I went from like 100 viewers, 150 maybe, to like having 300, 400, and then every day it went up like 100, and that like after those 2 days, and so that kind of like just kickstarted it off a little bit. And I mean, I think on average, up until when I didn't like start grinding as much, which I would like to get back to, obviously, but it's just kind of hard. But up until a certain point, I think Snipedown did the math and said I was averaging like 7 hours a day of streaming for like, it was a good like 2 years, which was actually like, that's probably pretty hard. Like, I don't think I'm anywhere near that right now. So
Yeah, 100%. It truly was. It was like, it was almost kind of like, we've talked about it here on the show. Enox mentioned it. If you can become someone's comfort streamer, it's such a big thing, especially
that's the reason why streamers grow.
Yeah.
Like, you have to like be there, or else someone else will be there. Like, there's just so many third shift workers that like just, you know, sit in their ambulances or like their offices, whatever. They're just like, what else are they gonna do? They're gonna just watch Twitch. But also that was kind of during COVID, so kind of skewed because people literally had nothing to do but stay at home and spend money and do nothing. So if there was any time to do streaming or just like all in it, that like had to have been the perfect time. There couldn't have been a better time. So
You've historically kind of been, well, I mean, you first start with your competitive, and then because of that competitive nature, it kind of drove you, I would say, towards like grinding ranked. And I'm pretty sure you've been number one before, and you're consistently, I think, in the top 10, top 25 in almost every single season whenever you pretty much want to. I would like to get into, what does the mental look like whenever you're in that mindset of, okay, I want to go for number one Apex Pred this season.
like if you were to just kind of like turn it on, you mean like to be able to grind ranked like right now kind of thing?
Right.
I mean, honestly, there's really not much to it. Like, I think if you look at it, like, you want to have like a life for yourself. There's like, I feel like for some reason everybody's looking at ranked like it's like can you wait, is my mic picking my voice up the entire time, or does it cut out?
No, you're good.
Okay, I just didn't know. So I think some people look at like ranked and Apex stuff like kind of like as a career booster, which is absolutely true. And so they kind of think of it as a job, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just like, when you do that, you kind of like give yourself like a time card and a timesheet, and you're like, you know, oh, here's the, like, you know, the 8 hour mark and all that stuff. If you like kind of just look past that, I think it's a lot easier to grind. And I'm only like, so to want to go for number one, I think you have to care that like it's going to help you out, like financially and like, you know, obviously with growth, but you kind of have to trick yourself into also trying to have fun with it, and like not necessarily think of it like, you can't look at I've never had my viewership numbers open, like, you know how like your viewer list or whatever, or like having the number. I've never ever seen my number when I'm streaming or whatever. I've just always talked to chat, memed, did whatever, joked about whatever, and have just kept it like that. So as long as you kind of like pretend to yourself that you're not doing it for a job, but knowing that you need to put the hours in the sense that you have to, be better than the other people putting the hours in, then I think it'll work out and it won't stress you that much. But you cannot just have one. You cannot play for fun and then at the same time get off early and all this stuff. It'll never work. I mean, it'll be fine. Like, your mental is great, but if you're going for number one, you have to like trick yourself into the business side, but trick yourself into having fun too, because it gets bad pretty quick. And every single person that's been number one has had the phase like this. There's like a number one ego. Like, there's like a little phase where people just get, because the person going for number one cares so much about winning and cares so much about every individual kill or every individual death that they get so angry at every little mistake that the people who don't have as much like passion for it, or like the people who, they're not going for number one, so it's not as big of a deal for them, but like every single mistake is so exacerbated by the number one player that like that's what breaks the mental, is people start actually kind of like being pissed off at the guy going for it because they don't even want to play with him because he's just rude. Especially during these times in Apex right now. Like, Apex right now is just it's not super stagnant, but it's definitely not the most like exciting it's ever been. So you don't want to just you don't want to get that mad at it, and at the same time, like, it doesn't have the same benefits that it used to, so you can't like you can't let it do that to you, I think. I mean,
yeah, like I feel like it's also just a grind of dealing with outside influences when it comes to rank sometimes. Like, we've talked about having the different rank systems, how it's changed so many times. There's been good ones, there's been bad ones, one's better than the other. Also, there's the cheating situation, there's the game itself, whatever it may be. If you had to pick the most annoying part about going for the grind that doesn't have to actually deal with the grind itself, the stuff outside of it, what would it be?
the most annoying part just about the grind in general, just streaming and stuff,
I would say more like
or just
game
like
side.
ranked specifically.
Like ranked specifically, yeah.
I guess the most annoying part of ranked, or like just kind of like that stuff, is just kind of like the like, and it's not like an experience that everyone can understand, because like I actually don't think everyone's even experienced it in the first place. So but like, it's kind of like there's like a backstabby vibe to it, in ranked and stuff, and they're like through every phase of ranked and shit, like there's these different there's clicks and there's whatever, and I think part of the grind that I've hated the most has kind of been like the whole like Reddit click thing, where like there was this drama a bazillion years ago where I threw the Revenant off the map thing, and the Revenant off the map thing, like, people don't understand that, like, I was playing pubs, right, and I was actually only playing pubs because I actually didn't have a ranked team, and it kind of gets back into the clicky thing, because people were kind of like playing with like other people, because people just, there's this competing thing with Apex and ranked and your career and your thing, and so like, this guy's trying to make a career for himself going for a good rank. This guy doesn't want to play with him, therefore he thinks that if he doesn't play with them, he won't stream, therefore he will get a boost in his career and the other guy will not. It's this really weird thing, and I think, and I've like noticed it, and I like think about it often, but I can say I've partook in it for sure by like trying to like pick my stream times and things like that, but anyway, I was playing pubs because I didn't have a team, because people are just weird. But the game before the Revenant game, World's Edge used to have this beam of light through, I think it's Harvester, that killed you when you flew through the beam of light. And I had a random pub teammate, he's Jump Master, and we were like joking, chat was laughing about random stuff, and this is a game before. Well, the guy just like flies us out of the jet and then through the beam and kills us all in 2 seconds. And it was just hilarious. So I just go next game, like whatever. And it wasn't ranked, it was pubs, pretty sure. So next game, I'm flying in, we're like laughing about it and stuff, and it was a Revenant that did it. And so I'm playing again, and there's a Revenant on me, and like obviously he's not unlatching, and when you play pubs, your teammate doesn't unlatch from you. You loot, like you landed 2 pills in a building, and the building is small. It's like those tents at Hydro in Olympus, and literally your teammate's right there to loot with you. You have literally nothing. So I fly him off the map, and then I instantly grab his banner and res him, but I flew him off the map regardless. And people didn't like,
So
people
funny.
who saw that, or the people who clipped it, unrelated, just had no idea what happened the game before, no connection to like there's no context. So the most annoying thing about the grind or anything like that is just kind of like the drama that just kind of goes with like stupid things like that. Like that, like I don't know if it's like a, what's the word, like where like any drama is good drama, like, or what's the phrase, I
Any
guess?
press is
like
good
a-
press.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't really think so. Or at least it doesn't work like that for me, because I think it like just like that mentally, like I don't like dealing with drama. Like I don't like what's the word, frick? Just like confrontation. Like I just don't like that awkwardness
Mhm.
before it. Like, you know, just like that whole weird vibe. So like dealing with people making tweets, making like contacting my email sponsors, this, that, like it's just annoying. Like I just hated it. So I just did not enjoy that part at all.
So how much of an impact do you think that one moment ended up having?
I mean, that was during the era of like the cheaters and Lulu and hideouts and banning people, like, and banning for streamers, and everybody hates streamers because they get special whatever. That was during that era, so like I'm sure it had an impact. And I mean, it right off the bat influenced people's first opinions of you and first impressions, even though they've never seen or whatever.
Mhm.
And so it's annoying that that's the chance that they got to see of me. But I mean, at the same time, like I don't think it mattered that much. I think it just mattered to me because I care about what they care about. Like I don't think at the end of the day, like statistically, like it's even a blip.
Mhm.
You know, if there's a way to look at that. But I think it just kind of like made me mad because I'm a people pleaser type of thing.
So if you had cared less about like
If I
what
cared
they were
less, I don't
thinking,
think it would have
just
mattered.
wouldn't have. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, I was gonna say in the grand scheme of things, like having somebody go off the side of the map is like probably one of the least like harmful things. In
Oh, and there's
Apex,
like there's
especially
the
to
worst.
start.
People have done worse
Yeah.
things in Apex Legends.
Oh, I thought that
Like,
was so
that ain't-
funny.
That ain't nothing, dude. I mean, I did too.
In
Like,
a pub,
originally-
in a pub
public
too.
match.
Like
I don't
I don't.
think
I,
it's
I
And
bad.
you
can't
rezzed
believe
him and brought him
people-
back.
Can't believe
and
people
then him
actually
brought
got
him
like
back, got his
twisted about
tag
it.
after. Yeah, like dude, I mean, I don't know, bro. Like it's just the like this guy comes home at 5 p.m., gets 1 hour, and you ruined it. You fucking like it's it's one of those, and they're just like they hate me. And
That's
it's
so
like,
funny that they're
dude,
just assuming this whole guy's life. They've met this guy. They know.
Yeah,
like
Okay.
dude, he's
It
got
could
to
just
go
be a young
jumper,
kid
now.
who's
He
just
has
like,
no
"Damn."
time now. He's got to sit in the queue. Like it's just it's terrible. And I'm like, dude. And I mean, it only gets that bad based on how you react to it initially. And initially, like how I'm joking about it now is probably how I was joking about it when it just happened, because you never really think it's like much, right? But like you kind of like thinking about it now, it's obviously just like it's stupid. Like it's you literally make fun of it.
Mhm.
And back then, initially, like I was making fun of it, and so people like were getting even more mad, and that's I guess you can't do that. So you learn not to do that.
So do you think that the amount that you care about other people's like perceptions of you in like such as like an instance such as this has changed from when this happened to now?
I would like to think so, because I don't think I've been involved in any crappy drama, and I've only tried to help people and support people since then. Not necessarily to combat that, just because like, I mean, it just makes me never want to do something like that again. So in general, I have not yet thrown a teammate off the map unless it was literally Duplex or someone else. But in pubs, yeah, no, I mean, I don't think it's influenced anything on myself. I like, besides like, yeah, I just don't screw with the casuals anymore. I promise myself I won't.
Okay, it's been 15 minutes. I was gonna start the show with it. I decided to wait. I don't think I can wait anymore. We got to talk about it. The background, you have the best background in Twitch history. Like you have and the fact that it's just sitting here staring us in the face right now. You got two cars back there. It's a garage. If you're not watching on the YouTube, you need to, because it's the most insane background of all time. I kind of want to just get into the entire story, because I remember earlier backgrounds you had like, even when you didn't have this garage, you still had better backgrounds and better like cams than a lot of people on Twitch, because you had the weapon wall.
You were like already
Yeah.
like top background game with the weapon wall, because it was just the effort put into it and just like how well it was connected with everything, and just the overall presentation of it was excellent. And then now you're in a garage. And it's just like a whole different level. And I remember thinking, I was like, why is he selling his background? Why would he not just put it up wherever he's moving to? Because it's like, it's a sick background. And now it's
sell
like,
it
okay,
so I
now
can
we get
afford
it.
paint. I sell it so I can afford to paint these walls because it's so expensive. It's just so bad. Dude, I don't know. It's like this weird like prophecy, like makes you believe in things that you don't know if are real or not. Because like initially when I started streaming, like not I didn't start streaming then, but you know when I grew on Twitch and I had like that little like I wonder if I know I have a picture. I don't know if I can show you in any way this picture unless I can do it on OBS or something. I can maybe show you. And I think if I do that, it could be safe for the stream.
You might be
But I
able
had
to
this-
share.
that would be
your
peak.
screen.
Guys, come over to YouTube to peep the YouTube video. Type.
Yes, no, I literally I know I can make
Yes, it
this
would.
work because of the OBS thing. So
Let's
hold on.
go. Yeah,
There's
because
this
you did pull up
folder-
the intermission and the pre-record.
There's this picture of me back in the day in this room, and this was like the first room we set up in my Apex kind of life, you know, whatever.
Mhm.
And it was I might have multiple pictures actually of the whole walkthrough. Here it is. So here it is, the picture. Oh, I can go on here and do this, I think. So right here's the picture, and that was me. So this is so that like this thing right here, this like vine, it's like a weird like bamboo cover, but on the other side of this there was like this vines and trees, and people just thought it was a green screen and stuff. So this was my first ever background. So people would just like nobody believed it was trees outside the window. Like I don't know where this fake window thing came from. It's a very obviously a window. Like nobody's trying to like pretend there's a window there. So that started the green screen thing. And ever since then, like somehow, in some way, like my background's just like without connecting the dots, they've all been related. Like I went from that to I can show you the next phase of the background. I have pictures of all these backgrounds. This was the next one right here. This was the very initial one. Like I think I had just left Team Liquid or whatever because I've got this R301 as a present from Alexis. This was like a TwitchCon medal. This is a TwitchCon picture with the medal. And then I got the knife and the Pathfinder gloves, and these are all presents. And so this is, you know, this was the next thing. And obviously, like, I wanted it to be like just so sick. Like, I don't know why, bro, but whenever it comes to like stream quality and stuff, like I really like take it serious, I guess. And I kind of want it to like, cause I mean, I don't know, like it's like a brand, you know, like things got to look good. Like, or like, what's the point? I guess that doesn't necessarily like actually have a real effect on the world, because there's streamers out there with bazillion viewers and subs, and they literally just have a cam and they swing things around playing games, and they shouldn't be swinging things around playing games. And they're much bigger than me. So like it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. But I've always cared about like my background and having like a nice room and having a nice, you know, taking care of things like that. And then I went to this setup, and this was actually there's another one before this one, but we'll just skip that one because it's relevant. But this was the gun wall one, right? And this was the one where like this was probably at its peak when it was pretty much done. Like every gun was on the wall. I had these little panels.
Yeah, where do you get those panels
Mannequin.
from? Who's your panel guy?
It was literally just Amazon. It was just 3D printed wall panels, and
Nice.
like you can choose to connect them, I guess, however you want. They're not flat on the back. They kind of have like it's very specific lines that you have to follow from the actual pattern that like because it's 3D printed. So like the panels that like kind of go in and actually have like a press are the panels that will attach to the wall. So like these ones here. Not necessarily like the bubble, you know, like that won't connect. So you got to use like construction glue and like hot glue. Construction glue doesn't set in right away, so you got to use whatever glue that sets in quick, so then the other one has time to set. And it was like a process. And having the lights and stuff set up for that, it was pretty insane. Here's a really good picture of it actually. And this will be the last one I show you, so I don't waste your guys' time. But
Oh no, this is good content.
this was
The
the room where
evolution of the
people
rogue
couldn't really
background.
see. So you had to connect these lights up here, and I like built these lights. So some of them have like a hot color and a cold color, I guess. And I just kind of spent like a 20 minutes or whatever. There's a switch behind the fake wall, because this is a fake wall. Like this wall that you see right above this is a 8 by 10 foot wall that we built. That's an L wall that covers the actual background of the room. So whenever we left this house, all these holes, nails, glue, all that stuff would not be attached to the real building. We just simply took this board off of the fake wall, all the panels off, and then took apart the actual 8 by 10 foot wall, and then that's how we left it.
Smart.
So the actual house is actually like, you know, not damaged in any way, and it's really nice. But yeah, no, I mean it was sick. But yeah, I mean how does it get better than that? I mean, I guess kind of like my idea of it was just to I really like cars and stuff and racing and things like that. And it's hard to kind of like share that stuff with other people. And I mean, also though, having like a kid and being one of the only Apex streamers, like at least that kind of do this on a full time schedule and have a kid, it's kind of hard to do all that stuff and make sure that we find a house that has enough bedrooms for Alexis's office, the kids' room, my office, and all this other stuff. So separating the work from home also makes it so like work is a little bit taken more serious too. And then you don't have to find a home that has like 7 bedrooms or something or whatever. You don't have to like put yourself on restrictions like that. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
1, 2. Sorry, I said tell him.
No.
But anyway, so that was one of the logical reasons behind getting one of those things or getting to the shop is to separate work from home and just have everything more serious, and then share with people like the cars are great, everything's great, like, and I have some cool like it also is like this interesting thing with sponsorships too, because if I got into automotive stuff and things like that, like I have so much like space, brand space and all that stuff to be able to put like logos or like, shout out brands. Not to mention that literally one of my good friend Nick, my good friend's Nick, he wraps cars in the background of the stream, which is why like sometimes people are always like they think it's a green screen because I can't possibly have this many cars. And I don't. I literally only have 2 cars. But the car that's always the closest is a car that Nick will be working on and he'll be wrapping because Nick wraps for a living. So this car is like a red car and he's wrapping it satin black, but it'll always be a different car. And then the GTR back there, that's our car, that's Alexis's car, and she's going to be doing like women's division drag racing, so we're building that car for her, and all the parts for tomorrow are literally on this table because I took the bumper off before we started this interview because I had to prepare it for tomorrow at 11 a.m. or something. We're like, I'm going to crank like a morning stream or something, and we're going to like put all these parts on, install the intercooler, all this other stuff, and it'll be fun. But I kind of wanted to like, I don't know, just like do something unique that other people haven't done yet, and then also kind of get into that other passion so that if I ever stop gaming, which that probably won't happen, there's like a 0% chance, but it's just kind of like one of those things where at least like I could potentially start something else for myself in this, and it might go well, it might not, but either way, it's just unique. I don't know.
No, yeah, it truly is one of the best, and I feel like you've merged together 2 hobbies of yours so perfectly that a lot of people have not even ventured to try to do. Like you said, a lot of times people just throw a cam up, and it may not matter to some people, but it's definitely something I noticed. It's definitely something, I mean, these 2 noticed. So it's like it does make a difference, and I think it I would love to see, I don't think there's a better background in history. I'm trying to think of every I
I mean,
can't
unless
think.
someone's like at an event or something, like a one
Yeah.
timer, like,
I mean, it's just insane. So the shop is connected to the house, and you guys kind of like just separate. You just go into the shop for the day, or what?
no, so it's like a good 10 minutes something from the house actually. It's in an industrial area and it's
Okay.
connected to some other companies and whatever, but it's like buildings that have these like big 30-foot walls or whatever, but it's like multiple businesses in a row, and like each kind of business has like a shop bay or whatever. And it works for me because I mean, I obviously stream at night, the night schedule thing, so I don't have to worry about things that these other shops are doing or any sort of noise or whatever. I mean, unless people come banging on the garage door at night. I mean, it is kind of like a hobo type area thing. So leaving and going out and break-ins are kind of like that's more possible than a lot of other things that could happen. So that's the only kind of weary thing is that you kind of get these hooligans you don't really know what to expect from. But it is not at the house, yeah. It is 10 minutes away, so you got to drive.
Would you say that's pretty huge in terms of being able to help you balance the time you spend as a streamer and then also time you spend as a father? Because you're one of the few people out there who, as you said before, are streaming in the same way that you do, and then also are balancing that other life on
Yeah,
the side.
I'd say there's a big balance because like if the computers and things are at home, then I would have to sit there literally, and I mean there's certain times when everybody just sits on their computer at home doing nothing before they stream, like they spend how long, hours maybe even, and they just sit there doing whatever, and I would definitely be a victim of just kind of doing that stuff, but instead I'm out there like kind of building stuff for Iverson or doing whatever, getting a room ready, just hanging out, doing whatever. And I mean, there's no distraction of gaming. My computer's not here. I can't possibly game. Right? Even loading up a computer. But you could be on your phone, but that's different. That doesn't. But I like it like that. I think it's good like that. and it lets me have my own space to relax, whatever. And I got 2 couches here, and it's nice, and you can sleep here if you want to. So
Nice.
I kind of want to get into not just the stuff, but how you got into gaming, because you've obviously had a pretty well storied career here in Apex, but I would love to like take it back a little bit on how you got started in the whole content creation, but just gaming in general whenever you were a kid, and what led you to start streaming.
well, so initially, I think I liked games a lot when I was a kid, and this was like before high school and stuff. I was doing actually there was a good amount of time before games. So I'm trying to think back. Like when I was in middle school, didn't really game much. Actually, my cousins were the people who had like the GameCube. That was it. They had James Bond on the GameCube, and every Christmas we'd play. And they were actually the gamers. I literally wasn't. They played World of Warcraft. They played RuneScape. I didn't play any of that. And so my initial like entry into gaming, I'm trying to think of really what it was like.
So you started off on roller, is what you're saying?
Yeah, no, I did though. I did. I literally did start off on, I guess, Xbox 360 was the first thing I had, and I was playing. Actually, no, PlayStation 2 was the first thing I had, and I played the Spyro game. I played. I'm trying to think of these other. I played
Sly
a lot
Cooper?
of Midnight Clubs, Midnight Dubs.
You play Sly Cooper at all on the PS2?
Trying to remember what that game was.
Ratchet and Clank?
Yes, yeah, okay, I did. Yes, I played Ratchet and Clank. I didn't own it. I actually rented. Or my friend had it, and I played it on his.
Nice.
Or I would take his CD or whatever.
You ever
but-
played Battlefront
played-
1 or 2?
Yes,
Those
it
games
was
fire.
Battlefront 2. Battlefront 2.
Such good game.
I used to play that all the time and play like the big snow map and shoot the walkers and like
Mhm.
all. Dude, yep, that was like one of the first games that I like played a lot. Like I don't. That actually might be one of the first games that I had more playtime compared to other games at the time. Like that was one of the main ones for sure. I barely played RuneScape. I could say I played World of Warcraft, but that's later down the line. Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops, things like that. That's where I really started, and I played like S&D wagers, and I didn't initially get into those. Cousins and cousins' friends were people who like to play S&D and kind of like try hard, and so I kind of started playing with them and like playing S&D matches, S&D tournaments, free to enter things and whatever, and that's kind of how I got started. And then I created a team and a team name called Elevate, and Elevate is the same Elevate today. It's a big organization, and I made it as like a game battles team back in the day. I have a picture of the original logo. I'm trying to find it. That was a game battles team back in the day, and it was great. I loved S&D. I played all these tournaments. I ended up sponsoring a lot of today's big gamers, I guess, kind of thing. Like when Elevate was starting out, I like used my own money as a way to pay for them to like go up in the world, like play their tournaments or whatever. Like, I guess players like Slasher, Miyagi, Strife, Cam, Khalifa, who's another one you'll know, Attach.
That's crazy. Those are for those that don't know
Enable
anything.
was on Elevate. There's a lot of players, but
Yeah, that's
Enable
that's a lot of that's a few COD World Champions right there. So
yeah, I had a ton of people on Elevate back in the day. Here's the original Elevate logo. I was like, obviously I was super young, so that was the original Elevate logo. I was super young. Obviously like using my money and money I shouldn't be using to kind of like send these people to events and stuff. And it obviously wasn't gonna, work out like that forever. That's just kind of how I got into it, was just by doing, like, that was my way into it. Like, I didn't necessarily see a way into it for skill for me, and I don't know why. I honestly, like, I don't know if it was just some sort of like mental thing where I didn't believe in myself or what. Like, why couldn't I be the player? Why did I have to be like the sponsor in a sense? I didn't care though. I mean, I don't care now, especially because I obviously am here. So, yeah, I don't know. It was. I started Elevate, played, and I gave it away to. There was a organization called Exertus. Exertus was it wasn't European based. It just had European teams. They were owned by Brandon, and Brandon now owns Regiment GG or something like that. That organization. But I ended up giving Elevate to him, and I like kind of stayed on as like a little manager and did my little things or whatever. And then from there, I got into H1Z1, and then H1Z1 into tournaments. Obviously, that's a battle royale game. That's how I met a lot of the Apex players that are in H1Z1. Sweet Dreams, Hal, like Prod. Me and Hal were on an H1Z1 team. Me, Hal, Prodigy Aces, Huskers, Warzone player, and Flowers, who doesn't necessarily play games anymore, but that was our H1Z1 team. And then from there, obviously H1Z1 died. I guess kind of going back though, because I kind of just skipped ahead of random stuff. I kind of got into gaming because when my dad died, I didn't really have anything to do. So I kind of just like face planted into gaming. Like I didn't go to school. Like I literally didn't do anything. It was because my dad died. So like I literally just started gaming World of Warcraft and Call of Duty, mostly because I literally didn't have anything else, I felt like. So that's kind of where it started. And so that was like a lot of time of just pure waste, but I guess it's hindsight now to say it wasn't waste, but yeah. But then I mean, yeah, so H1Z went into Call of Duty what was the Call of Duty VR that just came out?
At that point, it would have been like Blackout.
Probably Blackout.
It was was it Blackout?
Blackout
Okay,
was
it was
the
Blackout,
first one.
yeah.
I think so.
So it was Call of Duty Blackout was the one I played with Team Liquid, and I was on there with Flanker, Callie, and Casper. And obviously Blackout never ended up being a game that got far or whatever in the end, but that's what my Team Liquid game was, and that's what I was on them for. And so then from there, this was after H1Z1, then from there, Apex came out, and Team Liquid had told us about Apex, and that was great. And we basically made the 2 Apex teams because we had 4 players. Each team was to pick one person up, so we had 6 instead of 4. So me and Callie picked up one player. I think we picked up Jeesh, and Jeesh was a former H1Z1 player as well, but he never played the Blackout game, so he skipped a generation. I guess maybe he was playing PUBG. And then from there, we all got into Apex.
And then Mando was on the other one, right?
Mendo was...
sorry.
Mendo played Blackout. That's kind of where he got big, because he played Overwatch and then was kind of like on Blackout, and then Optic kind of like would like, shout him out a bunch. And I think he was on Optic, or it was Texas Outlaws.
Yeah, he was on the Outlaws Overwatch for team? A bit. Yeah, he was there.
Yeah.
Like, DPS.
So So I don't think he went from Team Texas Outlaws to Team Liquid in the sense of like the player. I'm trying to remember how Team Liquid happened, or like how his team was created. Oh, actually, you know what? I know exactly what it was. When we had the 2 teams, my team played a lot of the kill race tournaments because we were really good at pubs, and the other team, which was Casper and Flanker and Nastical, they played all the tournaments. And I don't know why it was like that. Like one team wasn't better at one thing versus the other team. Like we obviously were really good at kill race tournaments, but we were literally never given the chance to play the other tournaments. There wasn't really no reason for that. However, our team got cut, and they picked up the Overwatch players because they thought Overwatch players were going to be better in a game with abilities. So
logic is there.
And then that team never did anything, and then never went to a practice once in their life, and then just dissolved. So
yeah.
And see, this is part of where I got mad at the situation and why I left rather than just joined the other team, was because this was like a situation that like actually had me pissed off. Because like the thinking was just so like it just made me, it was frustrating because like I just couldn't believe it. Because there's no way you can just do that to people, especially like like we had won so many, like, or maybe not even one, but we were so good at kill race tournaments, it was insane. Like if we were able to play Warzone at the start of Warzone, like, or I guess like even right now they still do kill race tournaments, but obviously like we're new, they have experienced players, but we were really good at the Apex kill race tournaments, but we were really never given a chance to play any of the regular tournaments. So there's really no reason. And we asked multiple times, but I don't know.
Which is crazy because back in the day, that was the only way you could qualify for tournaments was through kill races because they didn't have custom games. So,
but
right,
the drama started when X Games happened because Liquid got to pick the team that went in it, and first like they just picked that team. And I mean, that's kind of where it happened. So, but again, like I can't remember. I don't have the best memory, and that's honest. So like I could be remembering things a little bit different than how they were, and I'm sure people would care if I got it wrong. So I just say what I think. It's pretty like 90. I'm pretty 95% sure about what I'm saying, I think, but I don't want to like say extra details that I could be wrong about. But I definitely started at X Games because they got to pick their team.
Then you
So.
went to NRG.
Then I left Team Liquid, played with Misfits, helping Moose and Prod. We had some tournaments. I mean, we always never did. Like, we never did excellent. In my opinion, I think in Pro Apex and stuff that I've played, like I have played on since having my own team, which was Misfits, helping Prod, all them. Since then, I have subbed for Torrent, TSM. I'm trying to think if I subbed for NRG. I don't think I never was needed, but I've subbed for TSM a couple times, multiple times, Torrent and other teams even. And I've always done, like, I've never had a bad day in a tournament where I subbed for other teams, because I always had an IGL or a team that actually had like a real plan, rather than the teams that I was on. It was never anything super serious to the point where like the IGL or the leader or whatever was like just so structured in his way of like routine or just in how things worked. So we never really had a game plan. It was always reactive. Things were never planned out. And so having a real IGL, like when I played with Hal or whoever, or basically sub in for whoever, things would always go so well because I was subbing in for a player that basically would, like, I'd be good at that role regardless, even just like them. But I'd be able to listen super well, because I don't like talking a lot. Like, I think about things in my head when I'm playing and I don't say them, and that's like a problem. I guess maybe like an ADHD thing or something, but like I just physically can't say things and do them at the same time sometimes. So when I'm able to just listen and think for myself, I'll play like insane. But if I have to talk and speak for others or micromanage them, then I won't do as good nearly. And on those other teams, I was always one of those. It was always one of those things where it's like you ask a question, like people will, as a team, discuss the answer, and it was never just like, you know what I mean. And like that's just, you don't have time to do that. And also just because like I it just wasn't my strength. So I really do think that on a good team or a team that has actual structure, I would do really well, because I've only done well on a team that actually had structure. Like, I've never literally done bad. So I don't know. I'd want to get back into comp, but that's kind of where that story leads. But I just don't have too much time. Like, I don't know if I have all the time in the world to do that. Having a baby and all that stuff.
That's what I was gonna say. I'm pretty sure. Didn't you tweet out like not too long ago? At some point, you were looking for offers for like a more established team. I think for comp, or was that kind of like bait?
No, it wasn't bait. It's never bait. Like, I really do want to play for a team. I really do want to, like, not, I want to stay, like, obviously, how some teams have Liquid, like, some players are on the Oregon, some players just play, like, I wouldn't mind either one, like, or playing for either one or whatever, but I would like to stay on Liquid, obviously, but I would just like to have a competitive team that actually, like, just wanted to actually be, like, super good, rather than just something that was put together for content or anything like that. Like, I would love to actually have a structure thing. The only problem, and this is why I don't go out of my way, like, there's been a few DMs, like, not necessarily exactly recently, but in the last, I would say, earlier summer, there's been a few DMs that I actually got pretty serious talks to, and I even, went to Discord with some, and where I would, like, kind of play on a team. But, like, the problem that always kind of comes up is, like, how much time do you have to stream, 8 or some hours a day at night, and then some of these, like, scrimmage schedules right now, like, people are waking up like 10 in the morning, 8 in the morning, 7, like, whatever. I don't know what the times are, but they're definitely waking up in the morning, because that's when people are going live. Like, I see Dropped and Optic always playing in the morning, doing the international scrims. So to do scrims in the morning or whatever you got to do, and then then you got to do VOD review, coaching sessions with your team, and talk things out. Then you got to stream your own hours, but then you also have to take care of a kid and make sure you have all your stuff. Like, it's almost like I'm just trying to bite off too much, I think. But I don't know. It's just like, I know I want to play. I just don't know exactly how to manage the time yet. At least I think. I don't know. I kind of want to have that figured out, rather than figure that out with a team and make them the experiment, because then that'd just be ruining their own time or ruining their own game plan. Like, I would never want to do that, because if I was going to do that, then I would have already just been looking for teams and hitting people up. But I have no idea how to sort that for myself yet.
Yeah, and I think that's fair, because if you try to dive headfirst into it and then all of a sudden you're like, wow, this is actually way more than I thought it was going to be, yeah, you'd definitely be putting people at like a slight disadvantage. Do you think you could hold your weight right now with everybody else in the league? Like, where would you rank yourself in terms of your ability and skill to the rest of, like, let's say just the champs, the teams heading to champs right now?
If this was like a mechanical conversation, I think I could literally be like in like a good above average, like kind of like near the not near the top, not at the top, but like not below the middle and not at the middle, like just kind of above that. I think like I really do think like I have a lot of mechanical skill and kind of like game sense when it comes to that stuff, and it's all the stuff that goes on in my head when I'm playing, and that's not said out loud. Especially in tournaments and things like that, I feel like I excel way more. Like when things are on the line, there's obviously a seriousness and a I don't know. It's like there's a seriousness and like a lock in phase that you cannot just ask yourself to give on a normal day. Like that only comes when you load into that match. Like you cannot pretend to have that before that. And I've had a lot of like in real person LAN experience through H1Z1, through Call of Duty, all the way to now. That well, I say Call of Duty, but I wasn't playing necessarily. But regardless, through TwitchCons, H1Z1s, Apex, and just being like physically there and just kind of like because obviously there's a vibe, there's like a there's a seriousness to it, like a tension in the air, like getting your COVID tests during like in the hotel, like in the Apex, like everyone's kind of just on edge, like not wanting to. They know they just shared a drink before that night, and they're just kind of like not happy about what's about to happen. Like I've just been around that for a long time, and I think the pressure is like just so easy to play around for me. I think like I really don't care. Like like especially when you're a bigger streamer, it's so much easier when you're a streamer. And I don't want to call myself a bigger streamer, but having like 1,000 viewers or more, like it's a lot easier to. You can kind of like dumb it down to yourself and like just pretend that's what this is, and like it's just easy. So I think I'd be pretty good mechanically. When it comes down to like knowing right, like if I was literally putting a match right now, I couldn't tell you what people are playing right now in a tournament. Like I couldn't tell you what Optic's using as like as their like or X at what their characters are or what they're practicing right now. But I don't really think it would take more than a game to get used to the situation. If anything, it would be just like whatever character I'd be on. And I've actually gotten way better. I've been able to play a lot more characters, and I've kind of just used this random time just to do whatever. Never played Pathfinder before season 17. Played them all season, like just random things like that. Like, I think it'd just take me like a day or two, like honestly, and then I'd just be able to, whatever it was. I'd be definitely at a disadvantage if it was a character I didn't play a lot, or like have a lot of, especially if it was a character that had like an ability that was movement based or in some sort of like team support role. Gibby's definitely probably my worst because that's just a way of playing that's so like holding the pocket, and I'm really not a holding the pocket player. But I think I'd be a good player. But who knows? I don't want to be too egotistical about it, but I do think I'd be good.
Well, I mean, you've put in the hours. You've been there. You've put in the time. And that kind of brought me to a question I was thinking about when you were describing your come up and how you got into gaming and stuff. You said you started off kind of like managing the team with Elevate and stuff. When did you realize that you were actually good and you could hang with these people? Because usually all the people we have on, they're like, yeah, I kind of always knew I was just better than everybody I played against. But it seems like you had like a different like mindset about it at the time. When did you realize you're like, wait a second, I shouldn't be sitting backstage. I should be on this stage.
Well, when my first games were Call of Duty and stuff like that, like I knew I was better than the people at my school, and so like that was like an initial thought I had felt. But the problem was is that I just like online, I don't know, I just couldn't. I wasn't too good at Call of Duty in that sense. Like as far as I can remember, I was good at pubs and stuff, but like I guess only playing S&D tournaments, maybe it just wasn't my style. So who knows? Maybe it was something to do with that. But I mean, when I switched to BR, I immediately felt it. Like I don't know what it was, but when I went to H1Z1, like I just immediately felt like I was a better player. I don't know what it was. There wasn't a specific moment. There wasn't like an example like or a situation that I can just recall like a specific game where I just like I knew it. But in BRs, I just felt like I was aware of things going on. Whereas in Call of Duty and a domination match or a control match or whatever, or whatever the game mode is, I just felt like I understood things a lot more clear. Battle Royale sense, I guess.
Okay, moving on into Apex right now.
Ooh, wait,
How do you
before we
feel
do that,
about
hold
it?
up, hold up. I gotta
Okay, you got
ask.
it.
We gotta touch on your experience and your time as the Optic coach.
Yeah, optic coach. What about it? Like, what? Ask
Like,
away.
how was it? What was your experience? And so, like,
I mean,
were you actually, were you actively fulfilling the role of being a coach, or was it more so,
so
I'm the homies with these guys? Let
no,
me
so
go
it
to
definitely
LAN.
wasn't the homies
Yeah,
thing. It wasn't
okay.
not the homies thing, and I hate. Like, I would not want to do that. I really did think that I was helping. I mean, you can ask the players that were on that team. You could ask Skittle. I think Skittle would give an honest answer. Um, I really felt like when I was behind them, like, and they had a bad tournament, obviously. So here we go. Like, it's me that's the reason they had a bad tournament, apparently. But uh, I don't think Dupe was having the best tournament. Like, I don't know what it could have been or what it was or whatever. But and this is not just like an at Dupe type thing, obviously. But um, like, obviously during these games at LAN, things were going pretty bad with like the Valcolts. They'd land and they would not be able to situate themselves, and they would not be able to kind of plant themselves into a spot after the very last Valcolt of the game, kind of thing. And so they'd always kind of die at that point. And so I don't know what it was, but people would sometimes die out of the air. People weren't on time. People just were not with their teammates, and people are playing important characters where they need to be the ones to survive if anyone's going to go down, and that wasn't happening. And so what I had felt like when I was kind of behind them was like, well, initially I obviously wasn't going to like just sit there and pretend to be their coach before anything went wrong, because like I'm not going to like actually sit behind Optic and like when I legit don't coach them, I'm just their sub. I'm not going to sit behind them and pretend I know more than what they know. Like, so I'm not going to say anything. But when things started going wrong is when I started talking, and it wasn't something that could be fixed kind of like by the coaching thing. I think it was legit a mental thing, like a kind of like a block or just a bad day or just something that had nothing to do with the game really. But I was there to kind of like just kind of remind them to keep trying every game, like, because there's obviously I've been in tournaments, even online ones. Mostly it's like content creator tournaments where you have like the first few bad games and immediately you think the tournament's over or something like that, and like you kind of just can't wait to get out of there type thing. And so I was literally doing everything I could do to prevent that. So if anything, I think I was just like the best mental booster vibe coach possible, or that's basically what my entire goal was. And near the end, near like the last 3 games, I had given them some ideas. And this, I don't even remember what round or what happened necessarily with that LAN, but in their last round, I remember during the last 3 games, because again, the first 3 went horribly wrong. During the last 3, I'd really tried to give them some advice and a different type of strat. Like I made sure, like obviously they have all these rules about leaving on this certain time and making sure all blah blah blah, and I was really giving them shit about that at the end. And I even came up with this whole new idea about when to leave and what we're gonna do and all this stuff. And they actually had some of their best games in those last few matches. But it was one of those, like, obviously too short. They start like it happened too late. And so that kind of stinks. But I mean, I was just there as their sub, honestly. But I would like to think that I had, helped them the best I could. And if I didn't help them, maybe it would have been worse. But you never know. I was really just there to kind of just like support them mentally. And also, yeah, be there in case one of them got sick, I guess. Because Dupe was definitely going to get sick eventually. Because that dude was drinking. Which maybe that's the reason why. Literally thinking back on it, like that, like he's groggy, like, he's just not himself. Like, dude, maybe I'm the reason, like he was drinking.
That's pretty funny. I remember seeing there's a lot of clips
there's
going
videos,
around
dude.
on.
I got videos.
Yeah, I was gonna say
The
there's a
natives?
lot of clips going around.
A NATO aficionado.
Literally.
Okay, so moving on.
Mhm.
One of the things we haven't got to talk about really is like Apex right now.
Right.
And I would love to hear from your perspective on where you feel the game is right now and maybe ways to improve, or maybe things that they have done that actually is improved that maybe people don't notice. Yeah.
I remember a long time ago, I used to think that Apex never sold enough skins and that skins never really came out. So they've definitely improved on that. There's a new skin in there every time I open the game. they're trying to steal my money. And I used to have my baller badge on Apex is in the 4 digits, and I refuse to buy a lot of new skins because I just cannot keep doing it. Like I'd go broke. Like they are coming out with so many things. So if anything's up, the marketing team's up. But the sound has gotten way worse. The sound this season is way worse than last season. I don't know what's going on, but every day I can come up with 5 examples with a clip, and it's just worse than the last. Ranked is on the up a little bit. You know, you're playing a little bit better skilled players. Pubs are on the down. Pubs need to bring back the Christmas noob type thing where anybody and everybody just gets into a game. Who cares what happens? Because I don't know. I feel like that's just the thing that made Call of Duty and just in general, like back in the day, that was just so good is you just load into a game. You play with who you play with. I mean, who cares if you get a tryhard on the other team or like there's one dude, but like everybody trying against you, like in pubs and stuff, it's just so like it's so deflating. Like you never really want to play because it just feels like you're just playing ranked. You have to communicate or else it's just going to go downhill. So that's one thing I wish they would change would be the MMR and things that have to do with that, and just leave pubs at pubs. And ranked is on the up a little bit, but unless you're a streamer, this is like my honest opinion, and I've said this for like a few seasons now. Unless you're a streamer that doesn't have a lot of viewers, you're not going to care about ranked, because the streamers that have big viewers, they have no reason to play it anymore. They could play their scrims if they're a pro player. They could play their tournaments, and they can gain their viewership that way, or their time played that way. Of course, they can play ranked and stuff still, but the point is that they're not necessarily going to care about ranked for ranked. But the smaller people who are trying to build a career, they're going to care about ranked for ranked. So at the end of the day, there needs to be a reason to play it. And so if you're already a big streamer, and obviously big streamers are what matters for ranked and for the promotion of the game and stuff like that. If you're going to play it, then you need to give rewards for it. So there's this weird idea that I had because I used to play World of Warcraft, and you guys might not get it if you haven't played it, but that's okay. In World of Warcraft, like when you're playing PvP and stuff like that, at the end of each season, you get this like token. It's like a physical token, and you can use it to get that season's themed mount. If it's a horse, a dragon, a wiener, or like a cat, it doesn't matter what it is. You can literally use a token and get that themed mount for that season. Next season will be different. The horse might look different or whatever. And so my idea is that every season, if they're going to keep it up with the single season, not the split thing. I mean, you could do the split thing too with it, but regardless, every season you have gun skins, you have character skins, and obviously you have a good amount of those, so you're going to need to create a few, but every season you're changing the theme of the gun skins for each rank. So Predator skins there'll be a Predator Bloodhound, a Predator Scout, a Predator P20, and a Predator Valkyrie. There'll be one for each thing. You're not going to get them all. You're going to use your one token if you got Pred that season to get one of those items. If it's the R3 one for me or the Bloodhound skin for me, then I have to pick and choose. Like I don't get both, or whatever. But that could be a reason to play. I guess maybe that's one more reward. That's actually something that's pretty decent and is interactive, because at least you get to kind of choose what you want rather than just choosing for people, and people might not like the outcome, because people have to have a reason to play. And unless ranked has some sort of change to it that is so structural to Apex's growth as an esport, where they connect ranked as a grassroots connection to tournaments and things like that, then people aren't going to care. But at least if they do some rewards, then maybe people will care for a few seasons or something until they get sick of it. But they need to increase their rewards, because there's no reason to stream and play ranked and care about ranked if you don't care about what you're getting out of it. And if you already have the viewers out of it, which was hand created by the community, not by the game themselves, then what's the point of playing?
Yeah, and I think they also took away dive trails for next season. So it's like now you're subtracting probably the
even though it
thing.
Wasn't much, you're still subtracting something anyway.
It was probably the biggest thing you'd get out of it. Like the thing everybody wanted was the dive trail. They're taking that out. So the small rewards we get.
I mean, they took those out a long time ago too. They made them seasonal.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't even get to keep them.
Yeah.
Terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree with you on that. We've actually brought that up a few times, just the reward system in general.
There just has to be a reason to play ranked. And if it's not going to be because it connects to Apex's competitive scene and in some way is dev supported, then it at least has to be the rewards. And that's like a minimum. Like you just have to like, because if you're just sitting there, like if one new streamer comes out and breaks 1,000 viewers for the first time each season, but it's just because he was the one that cared that season out of the 10, 20,000 people that played. Well, there's way more than that, but out of the Apex players and the pros that we know, if one new guy comes and finally decides he's done with the 50 viewers and wants 1,000, and he decides season 19 is his and he wants to grind like 50 hours a day, then I mean that's his season, awesome. But unless he chooses to do that, the season is the same as the last one. You know what I mean? Like there's no reason to play unless you're going for an analytic that helps you financially. So sucks, but yeah, I feel like that's kind of one of the main reasons. I mean, you could get into all the skill-based stuff and why the hidden MMR and things like that, but at the end of the day, I mean, you need more people of those ranks to even begin playing in the first place to have everybody matched up properly, and until then, yeah.
I feel like a ranked leaderboard could not be that hard to implement into
I mean,
a game.
that's an example of direct satisfaction that like people like me need and have. So like that absolutely helps. And even H1Z1 had a leaderboard in daily kills, daily long time kills, long time wins, daily kills, daily wins. Like they literally had that inside the arena where you'd run around in H1Z1 pregame, and you'd see, and that's how all the H1Z1 players got big. That's how like a lot of like that's how Ninja got big. That's how there's a ton of actual. I'm trying to think of the names. T-Hump, like a lot of people would have their names on those boards, and then people would go to their streams and at the start of Apex.
Yeah, and especially with the stuff that games can do now, I feel like it would be a really good thing for them to add in maybe like a link on that leaderboard or like some sort
Having
of way
some
that
sort
they
of profile link that the
Yeah.
social media that could be that too, especially on if it's on the main menu like that. Yeah,
just to get people cycling and funneling through the game even more. If they're not playing it, they're watching it.
Yeah, that's definitely real. I agree with you 100%. Like that needs to happen. And that's just like one more thing that I feel like personally wouldn't be that hard to do, but it's not necessarily about what's hard to do, because I think it's more about the legal thing, which who knows if there's even a legal thing with that specifically, but any and all changes to the game and all that stuff like isn't just not up to Respawn, sadly. I think it really comes down to the big companies' goals with the game, and if it fulfills and then handles like it does their business, then that's all that matters, you know. It's the small games that do those things to kind of become the big game, but when the big game's already big, I don't know if it goes back down to do those cool things, sadly. I wish it did though. I mean that'd be so nice. And that would, dude, having a leaderboard like that would help more than any sort of Twitch number almost. Especially if everybody can see it and click on it, like that plays the game. Not everybody that plays the game watches Twitch.
Also, a leaderboard among like friends, if you could cycle it and make it to where it just shows your friends list, and you could kind of like go back and forth with your friends and stuff. I think that would create.
Yeah, they
like,
did
a
that
lot
in
of
like
good
Call of
stuff.
Duty on your like player card stuff. You could literally sort leaderboards all time and all time. Yeah, no, that stuff would be great. I mean, they gotta make ranked have these things that people want, or else people just aren't gonna play them unless they want to get viewership that season, which is just whatever. But yeah.
You guys got any more?
I'm gonna hit him with a double tap. If that's okay.
Okay.
Let's get it.
All right, so we're gonna move into the double tap, which essentially is I'm gonna say 5 different statements, and then you respond with 1-word answers for them, and then we'll go quickly. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right. Number 1, favorite weapon meta.
R301 Eva.
Number 2, hardest part about being a content creator.
Inconsistency.
Number 3, best map in Apex Legends.
Kings Canyon.
Number 4, one historical figure you would play a duos game with.
Like historical figure, like
Anybody.
in the world.
Ever.
Oh my god, bro! Like what?
To be fair, this is the first time a question that outlandish has ever been added.
Like, I'm trying to think. Like, okay, so now I got to go back into history when I literally didn't go to school and said that.
We spent an entire segment answering this, and we all thought about it, looked it up extensively.
Like,
So
do you look up
fact that
political
Finn
people? Like,
sauced this at you as a double tap, I just think is not fair to you. And I just want you to know,
We'll give him some more time.
we spent way more time than a few seconds to come up with our
I
answer.
didn't know if he had somebody in mind just instantly.
historical figure.
You
Like,
think
I'm trying
people
to
just
I
casually are
think I
just like, oh,
picked-
I picked
Like,
Einstein.
give me an example. What did you guys?
I said
I think
would,
I picked
would
George
smoke
Washington.
Einstein in
You
a
said a
fight.
game of a person that you could play a game of Apex.
No, no,
with.
no.
Yeah,
I
like
did.
as your duo.
Yeah.
Wait, that's what
I
it
did
was?
Babe Ruth.
Yeah, so he switched up the question from ours. Ours last week was who would you want to fight? Which
Yeah, and
historical
like a
figure do you
fist
think you
fight.
could fight? And
then-
I picked
and-
Sir Isaac Newton because he's 5'6". And then you picked
I picked Einstein.
Einstein, and then Finn
So
picked
now it's a
the-
play a game with.
Yeah, now it's
Yeah.
play a game with.
Yeah.
Shit.
So completely different
I
mindset.
mean, dude. I mean, frick, dude. Like, because then you just start like as soon as you said historical, then like my mind is like, do I pick a political person? Do I pick like some sort of like do I pick a controversial? Like, I don't know.
Maybe
what.
like an old athlete or something.
Oh, that could be good. But do they have to be dead?
You can pick anybody.
No.
No.
Literally
No.
anyone.
Don't.
Okay, well, the historical thing made me think they had to be dead.
Okay, anybody who has lived.
It could be anybody, I guess.
I could pick any person to play Game of Apex with. I would pick. Oh man, this is shit.
Any
Okay, well,
F1
I would play game. Well, no, he can't talk yet. Well,
What
he
about
can talk.
F1? What about F1 drivers? Or
Oh,
anything?
okay, there you go. Okay. Probably pick. I'd probably pick Lando. If I could play a game of Apex with Lando, that'd be dope.
Okay,
He's also
there we
into
go.
video games, so that also
Yeah, he
helps,
is.
yeah.
He does have an esports team too, literally. Yeah.
And then number 5, future of Liquid Rogue in content creation.
So my goal is to keep playing Apex. Obviously, have a good time with that. Hopefully, Apex goes on the up. Everybody's happy if it goes on the up. On the side, though, I will be trying to do as best as I can to make TikTok and Instagram videos and a YouTube video here and there. Mainly it's going to be about YouTube, but I just haven't started that yet, so I don't want to prioritize that in front of the other ones. But car things, going to car events, a vlog. Hey, we're about to go to this car event. Then here's a few clips of us driving, and then here's the car event. Oh, great! And then funny moments, whatever. That'd be like kind of like the goal that I can see myself like filming. Maybe like some official races, drag strip stuff. Oh, here's a sponsor. We're installing their awesome transmission. Something like that would be cool. All at the same time as playing Apex or whatever game's out. It could be.
There we go.
A multi-dimensional man.
Yeah, that's something IRL on the side that could also be streamed, or my people might want to watch.
There we go. Beautiful. Enoch, you want to hit him with it?
Yeah, so the question that I ask everybody who comes on, because everybody who comes on is performing in that top 1% of the field that they're in, and you obviously are satisfying that requirement, no doubt. What is one piece of advice that you could give to somebody who is trying to reach that top 1% in whatever field they'd be searching after, that you could give based off of everything you've learned to get to where you're at?
If I had to start streaming over again, I'm going to use streaming as an example, but streaming is also a mega thing. Streaming is mega hard to get big in, so I feel like it's a good example that could cover other bases. You have to do it consistently, so that means you have to be there. You can't necessarily, like, for that whole time when I was getting big, I don't think I had a day off for multiple, like, there was a good, almost, I swear there's been close to a three-digit number where I didn't take a day off. It could have been close to that. So you got to be consistent. You gotta, be friendly to everybody. Well, I say be friendly to everybody. That doesn't mean you can't like shit talk and joke around and whatever, but you got to be open to like, all sorts of people watch you. You can't just have, one sort of person watch you. For example, you can't just be right wing hating on the left wings if they're watching, you know what I mean? Or whatever, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be political, but I think I would be super serious about the quality of my work. So if I knew I was going to have a bad day, I probably wouldn't do it. But I would probably be a little bit better at informing people that I wasn't going to make it, or, being a little bit more professional is what I said. And I would make sure that I would have more conversations with people that, you just talk to on a day-to-day basis, because you never know where those would lead. Any conversation, anybody, doesn't matter if it's Twitch chat, doesn't matter if it's at the gas station. I think just conversations are good. Talk to as many people as you can.
Okay. All right. So the Oilers this year. How are you
Yep.
feeling about the Oilers?
Yeah.
And are you confident in getting past the first round? Maybe even the second round. Maybe even the third round.
I'm super confident in the Oilers, honestly. I think they have an insane goalie that had to have a season that no matter what he had to have. Uh, and he kind of had a little bit of the break under pressure thing, but at the end of the day, you got to kind of remember that this Skinner goalie guy, he is literally supposed to be a sub. He's not supposed to be the main guy. And he came in and had like a good season, did his best. And there's just tons of pressure, and as players who play tournaments and shit, and stuff like this, uh, you go in as a rookie, for example, just like a random content creator, pick one in Apex, literally DigiVibes, for example, because he's the talk of the town. And then you go into like a tournament and you're playing on big team, like, and you're supposed to do better than the starter. Doesn't, I mean, and he was okay. He did really good. And defense wise, I just never really know what to say about the defense, because Oilers and defense never really go well together. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's just kind of like this weird thing, like technically their defense is actually insane, but technically it's not. So it's this weird thing. Always have something to do with that. Connor, hopefully he doesn't get injured, and they will hopefully get the cup.
Yeah. Well, so you would start Jack Campbell then? Is what you're saying.
Well, no, not anymore. I feel like, well, no. I think right off the rip we're doing a good 50-50, but I mean, if with what Skinner had last season, with what he was put up against, and with all the all the playoff stuff he had to do, I think Skinner definitely comes into the season just like an absolute wall. But at the end of the day, you can't just really give up on the guy that was supposed to be your number one guy. So you're gonna kind of 50-50 him, a little bit, just to be fair. But I really do think Skinner's going to be insane this year. He might even take the number one spot. I don't know how it'll work with them, but
Yes, because Jack Campbell's making just a shitload of money, so that's the tough
Jack's just
part.
sitting there. Yeah, he's just wasting money, but you have to use it. I mean,
Yeah. No, it's
because you don't want to burn him out. That's how you burn out the player. You can't play that many games. You can't play that many high pressure games and then just sit there and pretend like it's okay. Like, you're not the same guy from game 1 all the way to game 87 or whatever it is.
Yeah. No, it's for anybody out there who's never gotten into hockey and wants a team to watch, the Oilers are the funnest one, because they'll score the prettiest goals you'll ever see, and then they'll give up some of the worst goals you'll ever see. It's just,
Oh yeah, dude! Don't even get me started. Last year on Smith's Calgary goal, dude. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
Don't even show the stream of that
So
one.
I'm a Colorado fan, and when we were playing you guys in the Western Conference Finals, I was in Vegas watching the games on the edge of my seat, because I think we were winning like 4-0, and then the game ended like 7-5. But
I remember that game.
Yeah. Every game was like that. Like every single game.
You
of that
literally
series.
cannot, like, dude. It just sways the moment, like the momentum. Like, no matter what, even if you have it'll always sway. A game of hockey always has a momentum sway. There's no it does not, and it's like the most fun to watch live action sport, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, it's the
Like,
best.
Yeah, I mean, people can like basketball, and people can like whatever they like, but and football and stuff. But I really do think hockey has like the most kind of like change of tempos, and just the kind of prettiest game to watch, most like kind of fun thing.
Yeah. No, it's if you're trying to get into it out there, they also have the greatest player on planet Earth.
They literally
Connor
do, yeah.
McDavid. They have the best player
better than
in the
Gretzky.
world,
Somehow.
other than Gretz. Yeah. But yeah.
Dude,
So
fun fact about Connor McDavid is he's like one of the only hockey players who I know the name of.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because he is I realized later on that he was insane. But I used to play NHL on the Xbox 360 with my boys, and I was like so much better than them that I would play as like the worst teams. And so I found the like Erie Otters was the team that I played
Lake
on.
Erie.
And I, with McDavid, would just roll them as his like bad team back in the day.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, dude, McDavid is nasty. And then literally multiple years later, I realized that like
he's
he was
the best. He's
like
actually
one of the
nasty.
best to ever touch the game.
It really doesn't even come close. I mean, I guess maybe it's a good conversation to compare those two players, Gretzky and McDavid.
Yeah. No,
But,
it's yeah.
Yeah,
It's
he's
interesting.
a literal phenomenon, honestly.
If you've never watched hockey clips and you want to get into it, just look up Connor McDavid goals, and you'll see him do things that don't make any sense. Like you just they
Yeah.
don't
And then just
compute.
go out with some rollerblades and a plastic stick, and then try to just replicate it without anybody in front of you, and just see how it goes.
Yeah, not
Because
to mention
you're not gonna do it.
yeah, and then once you do it on rollerblades, try to do it on actual frozen water with knife blades as on your feet, and try to do it then. You're not going to be able to do it. But yeah, so I just want to throw that out there. I want to see how you thought it was going to go. But Rogue, once again, man, this has been awesome. It's been a pleasure having you on, and hopefully we see you sometime in the future. Talk a little bit more Apex and maybe some new cars in the background. I'd love to see.
Yeah,
it.
well, yeah, there's gonna be hopefully. But yeah, thank you guys for the interview. I appreciate it. It was super fun. Good questions. Thank you guys.
Thanks, man. All right.
Yep.
We'll catch you next time.
Later.
All right, ladies and gents, that was Rogue. Big shout out to Rogue for hopping on the show. That one was in the works for a while, and that was one where I can definitely see him coming back and having a lot more to talk about, because I felt like there was a lot of things we wanted to expand on more, but we only had that hour. So I would like to get him back on, talk to him more, and he was very relaxed, very humble. So it was cool to talk to Rogue. Okay. Before we get into the heart to heart and send you guys on the rest of your week, we are going to answer 2 quick Discord questions that I think are pretty interesting. This one comes from the Ask the Podcast channel on the Apex the Podcast Discord. If you're not already in there, what the hell are you doing? You can find teammates. You can squad up with people. You can also do all the Ask the Podcast questions. You can send in pictures of your setup, ask for advice, your own heart-to-heart, a casual crisis if you're just like me. We used to do that, or we did it one time. We wanted to do it more, but it's hard to find casuals sometimes. As a casual, it's hard to send in your clips because you're like, how casual am I? Am I really casual? Do I really suck? It's hard to put it on the line, but we would give all power to the casuals to send it in. And honestly, best case scenario, you send in a casual crisis, be like, hey, is my friend wrong or am I wrong? If we say your friend is wrong, you win forever. You're forever enshrined as they were wrong, you were right. What's better than that? So that is all in our Discord, all available for you there. Boys, first question here comes from Alistair. How many viable POIs should a map have for competitive Apex? Do you want to see teams fighting off drops so there's action right away? Or would you rather have every team have plenty of loot for mid-game fights and a chaotic endgame? Where do you guys stand with that? Great question from Alistair.
Yeah, I'd personally like to see there be a decent POI that all the teams could loot, and if not having straight up 20 POIs, having no like non-named locations that you could like a string of them that would be a suitable enough landing spot for a team who like might be like an early rotate. But well, I mean, an early rotate team wouldn't land at a no-name POI because they are going to probably need beacon. Or just like a team that would just adapt and figure it out. Kind of like how there's Bean is what they call the armory and the no-name locations on Stormpoint, so something like that. But I do think it'd be better if all the teams had a POI, and so then that way they could have like just it doesn't force an off-spawn fight. Like I don't think off-spawn fights can be fun to watch, but I would say that the game as a whole would be better if all of the teams could have a POI and then be able to play out their game instead of having people like forcing off-spawn 50-50s simply as it being a matter of there's not enough places to go.
I get that. I think one of the things that we've talked about before is like for broadcasting for a LAN scenario, I think that what you're saying is good, because I can see both sides. I think I see both sides. One, because of the competitive integrity, it would be nice to have every POI, every team is at least like somewhat looted and somewhat viable in a fight, just based off of where they're landing. But the second part is what I was fixing to allude to with like broadcasting, specifically with Apex. A lot of people see the beginning as very boring and everybody just wants to wait for the mid to late game whenever there's actual fighting and rotates and people are forced out of their spot and, the chaos. But I think if you can mix in some chaos of contesting off drop, it is really good for viewership. But I also, like I said, go back to the integrity side of sometimes people are contesting and it's like, dang, because that kind of screws over a lot of people, both teams really, whenever you're contesting. So the competitive integrity aspect of it is kind of rough, but it all depends on the map and how people decide to do it. At the end of the day, there are going to be POIs that are more valuable than others, and that's just based off of loot pools and location of where that POI is. So even if there was 20 POIs, there's not even a guarantee that all those teams would be landing, not like contesting, because some POIs are even, more valuable than others. So interesting question, but I guess that would be my answer. It's a little bit of mixture of both there.
I'm going to go more on the side of Enoch for purposes of social media. I think the example I'd bring up is soccer, or for the Europeans, football, right? It's whenever you're, at least in my young, infancy with following the sport, whenever you see two teams get introduced, they always have a specific formation. And it'll be like a 4-3-2-1 or a 4-3-3 or something like that. And I think it's always interesting as somebody who's fresh into the sport to like see what type of formation each team is running and why, like what limitations they have in the formation and maybe what strengths they have in the formation, why they're running it. Is there an injury? Like what's going on there? I think for the side of social media, for Reddit, for all that type of stuff, seeing teams trade POIs or like say for instance, like that situation we had with TSM wanting to trade out POIs on Storm Point. They wanted to go away from Wall, and I think they were trying to trade BBB, right? What they were trying to like switch up the POIs. Was that the case?
So FaZe was at launch site. I think that's what it's called, launch site. And then TSM was like, we actually want launch site, and then they ended up fighting, losing, and then
Allegedly
losing, and then coming like running tail back to the Wall.
Yeah. So like in that situation, even just let's just pretend like the whole fight thing didn't happen. If there was an account, and I'm assuming there will be soon, and I think if ALGS was more locked in, like the ALGS Twitter account was more locked in with what was happening between the teams, they could put out a graphic like rumor TSM trading locations with X team. And this would be how it looked. Like, imagine if the Twitter account was able to follow along with how that was going because each team had a POI. Then they could put out a graphic of like TSM on their POI with all the other teams surrounding them on their POI. And you could be like, oh, okay, now TSM has to deal with this rotation with XSET being right here or with DZ being right here. And you could like kind of formulate your own opinions on how it would go. I think it could also make our predictions a lot spicier based on just pure rotations and all that different type of stuff. So I think having 20 POIs where everybody could be set would be really cool. Not to mention, I do agree with you, Finn, that the beginning is boring, but we're forgetting about the ring changes. The ring changes are going to make at least 2 minutes of that beginning part of the game go down. So those 2 minutes are going to be eliminated. We have now a much faster game. Those rotates are going to be crazier. If every team had a POI, we could avoid that tough situation of like, remember when we were talking about how the tripods, we didn't really get to see them ever fight without having to contest a POI. Imagine if now we eliminate that bad news stuff for teams like that, and they're able to actually just kind of play it out, and we get to see that competitive integrity that you were talking about, seeing how they stack up. Because I just think it would give a lot more teams more shine, more chance, and we would really get to see that solid structure of how these teams go with the faster matches. I think it would be interesting to have all teams with a POI. Maybe you even do one map where there's not all POIs, and then whenever a new map comes out, let's say for instance it does have 20 POIs, maybe even 21, we could be like, okay, now it can kind of go back and forth. I don't know. I think it'd be interesting either way for the social media aspect of it.
I will say, with there being like the current amount of POIs, I do think that there is a lot of fun when there are big contests for spots. Like we've seen a decent amount of them during the international games. And like you get the Aurora DZ contest that has its own storyline. You got the Moist Sentinels beef that's taking place. You got that storyline. And it's these things that are stuff that generates impressions and gets attention and like add depth to the game. And so I do like that aspect of it, and that completely goes away if there are all like 20 good POIs. Like it wouldn't completely go away because people are still going to fight to have like the best spots, but come game day it probably wouldn't be as exciting, because if you're going to be, I think you'd be more likely to leave a contest than to stick it out. If it's even like, I feel like you'd be more likely to give it up if there was a better option than the ones that we currently have available.
Right, you're saying you would like to have, like, they at least have that option of, okay, we're getting smoked at this POI. There's one that's open. We might as well just
so like if there were better options available,
Yeah.
they would be less likely to keep the contest as long as they would, because the losing it isn't as big of a hit.
I think there's validity in that as well. I agree.
Yeah.
And so like that would deteriorate from the storylines, and so I don't know. I do like that aspect of it.
Yeah, I think if they were to do it correctly, you could make storylines. They would just have to they would have to put a little bit more effort into the product as far as social media goes. I think they could drum up some drama if they wanted to. But why did you say that you don't think that Apex could be the FPS? Like could be the League of Legends of FPS. What's up with that? My tweet? Yeah. So it has nothing to do with the game itself. It has everything to do with the people running it. And this kind of what I just said, like, I feel like they're not as plugged in with what is helping the game stay alive. I would argue that ALGS is one of the bigger reasons why the game hasn't died, because we look at games where their pro scene wasn't able to make it and the game just kind of completely fell off. I think you got to spend money to make money. And I think if they were to spend a little bit of money, drop some more things here for the ALGS, I think EA and Respawn would have a very, very good product on their hands that could last for a long time. But if I've been talking about this game in this form since season 6, and with everything that I've seen, I just don't see them ever really participating in anything that doesn't make them immediate dollars and cents. And so I just don't see them ever putting in the resources to make it that. The game itself can make it. The game itself is amazing. We've talked about that. The game itself can make it. But I just don't really trust the people at the top to be able to make it that. And I don't even think they really even understand what they have in their lap. Like, I don't think they get it. I don't think they get like how big this could be, how huge this could be, because they don't really look at it as what it is. They look at it in dollars and cents. That's kind of where I'm at. And that's not to say that there's people who are working in this game that don't see it for what it is.
Shout out Finn.
Shout out Finn. But
Shout out the boy.
You got to convince the people at the top. And if they haven't been convinced at this point, then I don't think they're going to. Like the one thing with the skins kind of falling apart, that whole thing, that hurts. Like that one, I don't think they'll ever revisit that, because it fell apart so easily. So it's like, I don't know. I want it to be there. I just don't think it will, because I don't know if they're ever going to put the right amount in. I could be wrong, but I was thinking about it in the terms of sports like I always do. And what I've learned about is like teams with bad ownership typically are just bad teams forever. You look at a team like the Lions, they're finally kind of starting to be okay, but I mean, they've had the same ownership since I think the 50s, and I don't even think they've been to an NFC championship game. You look at a team like the Arizona Cardinals, like I think they've been to one Super Bowl, and I think they've been a team for like 60, 70 years. One Super Bowl that they lost. Teams with bad management.
The Redskins, bro. Like,
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking of.
the Commanders /
Commanders.
Redskins. They
That's
finally
my first.
changed their ownership, and they won the craziest preseason game. Granted, it's a preseason game, but they ended the Ravens streak. So new
Right,
ownership.
and it's
Now,
all starts at the top.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
yeah, and imagine if Apex transferred ownership. Oh my God, what a day that would be. But that just doesn't happen in this industry. So that's kind of where I'm at. That's why I said it. It has nothing to do with the game itself. I love the game itself. I wouldn't be talking about it if I didn't. But I just don't. It's the people at the top that kind of scare me. That's where that tweet came from. I probably should have elaborated more when I tweeted it out, but
I saw it too, and I was like, "Dang, Wyatt, that's
yeah,
crazy."
no, this is the elaboration of my thought. I was about to walk into the gym. I should have just typed a few more sentences, but okay, great question from Alistair. Shout out Alistair. That was an awesome question. The last one here. This one's actually kind of interesting. If there was to be a special episode of the podcast, this one comes from Jack Odd, by the way. Jack Odd. If there was to be a special episode of the podcast in which all three of you had to be replaced by a past guest, who would you choose and why? And I actually like this one he chose. For me, the best one-for-one replacements would be Weeps for Wyatt, Design for E, Jayhawk for Finn, which I thought was interesting because when I first read it, for me, I definitely thought Weeps. I liked Weeps a lot. Where do you guys stand? I would say for this question, replace all three of us with who you think fits.
Design for Enoch is hilarious, though.
That's really funny.
That one is funny.
That's a good question. I think I have my answer on who I think Jayhawk is probably the most fitting for myself, but I have like another pick that I would also say would be a good option for me. I have two. So my first one would be probably Jayhawk. Yeah, that's probably a very accurate description. And then number two would be Gent. I think gentrifying would be the other one for me.
Who would you pick for us?
Oh shoot! I didn't know.
Dude, I have no idea how I'm going to answer this question. Do we have to do a pick for everybody?
I'm trying to think. For Enoch,
I got my pick for Enoch.
who you
for,
picking?
I think for Enoch, I'm gonna go with Jenks. Back off my Jenks.
I'll take that. We'll
More of
take
like
those.
a content creator side, still like up to date and knows everything. And then I'm gonna say,
Dude, we've had some banger guests on the
I know
show,
this
dude.
is really difficult. Actually,
We've had some bangers.
Okay, I think I know who I would probably say for Wyatt. I'm gonna say Fallout for Wyatt.
I like that. For Enoch, I was gonna say his Watson. I feel like they're both very articulate with their thoughts,
That's the
and
boy.
his Watson told very good stories, which I think Enoch does as well. So I think that would be like a very solid return. I love Jayhawk for Finn. I don't know if there's a better answer, to be honest with you. Jayhawk for Finn makes a lot of sense. They also just kind of got along. And if there was more time, I think you guys were going to keep doing that series where you were breaking down plays, but he just got busy. I wanted to see more of those. So I think that's a great pick. And I love Weeps for me because, dude, Weeps, he's one of my favorite. I don't ever want to actually rank out our people because I feel like that'd be messed up. But Weeps was definitely like a top 3. I did not expect anything from Weeps because at the time I didn't really know who he was. But talking to him, dude, I love talking to Weeps. And he also wore the backwards hat with the beard, which I feel like just fits. So I would pick Weeps for myself. Go Jayhawk for Finn. Hit Watson for Enoch. Do you have any?
I might just.
Are you messing with a necklace or something?
No, I got
I can hear it.
yeah, they're these it's called hematite, and it's like magnetic stones. So I'd just be
Because I was like hearing that. I was like, what am I hearing?
Could you hear it with my mic? Okay, yeah, so that is what that is. All right, I'll stop. I didn't realize everybody could hear it. I would maybe sub. I like definitely Finn for Jayhawks a lock. I like Peeps for you. I think that's when you really brought it all together when you said the beard with the backwards hat. That was really the deal sealer for me. And then I would go with Naughty as my replacement.
That was my
I feel
backup.
like he approaches things with a fairly good head on his shoulders as well, and so I definitely think that he would be a good fit. But then I also at the same time, I think the design pick is funny, and I think it works. And then Watson, I think would be also funny. But I think out of those three, I think I'd put Naughty and Designer pretty close, but I would go Naughty.
Yeah, I was thinking Naughty too for like the conversation. I feel like we have similar conversations about headspace, where your head should be, mental, a lot with Naughty. Same with you. I feel like that would match. We need that on the pod. We need to have positive headspace, positive vibes. We need to have somebody with the reinforcement. I feel like if you weren't here, Naughty was here, I would still be able to have some of those moments like we talked about on old pods where I was like, damn, I'm actually using this. The only person I could think of for that department would be Naughty, right? Has anybody else? I don't know if anybody else has like touched that base. Probably not.
I was gonna say nine rain for Enoch as well.
Who? Nine Fever?
Nine Fever, excuse me.
That would be that's a good pick as well.
Yeah,
100p.
that one too. Yeah, I'm trying to. The only other one.
Nine
for
Rain's like a
Finn?
streamer or something. I don't know. Anyway,
Finn would be.
I like my pick. I'm down with that.
I do too, but I'm trying to see if there's maybe Raven.
Yeah, I thought Raven might be another decent pick as well. I would like a mixture between Raven and Gent if I'm gonna not have Jayhawk, but I do think Jayhawk is probably the most accurate.
Yeah. No, that's a great question. I love that question. Very interesting. That one comes from Jack Odd, like I said at the beginning. Okay, ladies and gents, that should just about round it out for the Ask the Podcast questions from the Discord. Don't forget, you can click the link down below. It should be in the description and follow along and get to our Discord from there. Ask your own questions as you would like. Ladies and gents, we are going to get into the heart to heart and send you on the rest of your week. Let's get it. All right, ladies and gents, it is heart to heart time. Heart to heart time. Does anybody want to go first?
I want to go first.
Get it.
I don't know. I mean, this might be just silly, but I'm like, my dad's like super not really. My mom's cool with tattoos. She's like, she's whatever about tattoos. But my dad is not nearly as open to me having tattoos as my mother. So I haven't told my dad yet. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, I have tats before, and I just know that he didn't necessarily enjoy me having those. So not excited to have that conversation. So that's pretty much my heart to heart. That's really it. I might give an update on that if that goes well.
I want an update.
Or if it doesn't.
I want an update. My mom, she said that if she ever saw a tattoo on me, she would iron it off, which I know she's joking, but she really hates tattoos. And so I haven't gotten one because I don't know what I would get, number one, but I also have that little voice in the back of my mind. It's just like, I don't know. I don't want to deal with that. But yeah, I definitely feel you on that. I feel you on that. E.
My heart to heart? You want to go?
Let me finish chewing this ice real quick.
There we go.
Okay, you want me to go instead?
I can rip it. I'll rip
All
it. I guess with all the stuff that I got going on, it's really just it's really just another like reinforcement of that. Even when I was like going through what I could have like perceived to been like a negative time, I made the decision that I was going to stay in like a positive emotional state and remain like irrationally optimistic about everything that was happening. Which I is something that like I've always done. But I've liked the wording irrationally optimistic thanks to a friend. And as a result of it, I'm now like experiencing a positive series of growth, and I'm very confident that it's largely due to the fact that even though I was going through a negative experience, I was able to have like that positive emotional state, and then because I remained in that, I was going about and doing the things that I needed that then led me to having the experience that I'm currently living. And I'm just thankful that it's just another reinforcement that that's true, and so it'll make it so that I'm more diligent to doing that in the future when the next series of stuff comes, because I mean there's always hills and valleys, and so it's just another reminder of that as long as I keep on focusing on where I'm ultimately going to go, that I should be so happy about that any of like the negative stuff doesn't matter, and then it'll just lead to me eventually getting where I'm going. And so I guess that would be my heart to heart this week. It's been fun.
Beautiful stuff, man. Beautiful stuff, as always. For my heart to heart this week, I don't know if I. He tried to put it down.
I put him away.
Yeah. I don't know if I really have one, man. I'm excited for the baby. I'm really pumped and feeling the little kicks and stuff. I didn't realize how big of an effect that would have on my brain. But the second you feel it kick and your hand's actually there and it like kicks, you're like, that's actually like mine. Like I made that. So that's kind of crazy. I mean, she made it, but I helped out a little bit.
You contributed.
I contributed.
You're
a very
co-founder.
a very small amount, but I contributed a little bit. It's just surreal. I just wanted to be here already, and yeah, I think other than that, I don't really have. I guess I'm just kind of in a waiting game at this point, just kind of waiting. I need to read some literature and learn some more stuff about the entire process. I think that would probably be a good thing for me to do. And it's actually pretty scary too, because like it's a big undertaking. So just kind of pacing out the best that I can with all that stuff. And yeah, I guess that's really it. I don't really have too much else. I'm doing well other than that. So that should just about do it for my heart to heart. And that should just about do it for the show. Ladies and gentlemen, we are oh so close to wall Apex content, wall ALGS content. It's going to be coming out your ears. We're going to have so much, and we cannot wait. Plenty of special guests. It's going to be so awesome. And it's the best time of the year. It truly is. It is the best time of the year. And then right after that, we get all this other stuff going on. We've got MFAM Gauntlet. We've got Roster Mania. We got teams dropping, teams joining in. We're going to have the lowdown on all of it. We cannot wait. Ladies and gents, we'll catch you guys next week for another episode of the Apex, the podcast. Click the link down below for all the socials. We'll see you guys next week. See you.